Think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who want to fight me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter beat me.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. It's Sunday, y'all. We're gonna have a little bit of boxing talk, man. I know you've probably been a lot of places and heard a lot of things. Crazy things. Narratives. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. But I always ask, man, that you go where everybody know your name. You're always glad you came. They always sing your praise. And then you come over here and see what we got to say about it, man. We had one of the biggest fights with what was supposed to have some of the biggest implications happen last night. And in devastating ghetto ass fashion, a lot of people, the darling of boxing right now, he reneged, man. And it's kind of sad because I'm seeing a lot of people who they favor eggplant, like they like tube steak, man. There's a lot of people out here painting a whole lot of narratives, sounding silly, moving goalposts. That's why we got to address that today. This is a precursor to the meat and potatoes, because there is a lot of people out here that just like, they never cease to amaze me, man. because they always, they pick and choose how they want to rock with a certain fighter, which narratives they want to, ride with, and just things that do not complement the vitality of the sport. So we're gonna get into those things, man. We're gonna talk about where Oshaki goes from here. We're gonna address some of the narratives. Salute the Malazar. Cookie Monster say mic check, sounding crystal clear. Salute Cookie Monster. I appreciate that microphone checker. Malazar say it was a good card. Yeah, I thought it was a decent card. I thought that Charlie Sheehy, he did his thing. He had a guy that wasn't trying to engage, and that's the new thing. That's another thing. Like, the housekeeping could have been so long on this episode. But I said, I'm going to spare you, man. I'm just going to do the typical 3. Every now and again, I do 4. But there were so many things I could have put in the housekeeping, which is, the first segment of the show is pretty much the housekeeping. And then we let the beat build a little bit, and then we go ahead and transition to the meat and potatoes. But it could have been way longer based on a lot of different things. And I see you said you want Navarrete versus Oshaki, Malazar. Pop needed to let his hands go so fast. Yeah, he did that too. That guy, Jovan. But he nice, man. He gained a fan in me. I like his style. I don't know what was going on with the commentary, but we'll get into that. We definitely will get into that. Let me by the way, Pop had only 3 weeks notice. Yeah, it was a short notice fight. But let me go ahead and get into the housekeeping. You know what I'm saying? With no further ado. Inoue versus Bam in December. What do you mean, Mike? If you listen, I'm going to tell you, right? They were saying last night that a little birdie, a.k.a. Eddie Hearn, told them that if Bam is to get past this guy, Antonio Vargas, that we could be looking at Bam versus Inoue in December. I don't really celebrate Christmas and all that, but it is my birthday in December, man. If we were to get that, and that's like my guy versus my father-in-law guy, because he's the guy, he's a wholehearted Inoue fan. I like Inoue too. I used to do a lot of content about Inoue, but right now I've given myself permission to be selfish about American boxers. And I'll talk about the relevant guys across the pond and all that, but like, man, we down bad because everybody over here either got a narrative, they either want to be part of a team down with a clique. You don't get that real, raw, rugged. You know what I'm saying? You don't get that truth everywhere. It's a couple channels that's doing it, but they don't get the publicity that they need. So I've allowed myself to shrink, everything down and to have laser-like focus on the fights that have implications as far as I'm concerned as a hardcore and, American boxers right now. That they take priority. Now, they come first. Still going to address everything else, and the people that I like Fabio Worley. I'm still a fan of Fabio Worley. These are some guys. I like that guy Casey from across the pond. Joe Cordina is decent in my opinion. I got some guys across the pond that I actually, I rock with Catterall. There's some talent everywhere, not just here, but I've allowed myself to focus. So I don't do a lot of content on Inoue anymore like that, even though I used to. But this is a fight because I told my old head, I had saw Inoue, but he was the one who really like put me on Inoue because he's like a diehard. He loved Inoue. And he got, he was like, man, you gotta check this guy. You gotta check this guy out. He like Keyshawn. He like M. Billy. So I try to every now and again I try to do content on these guys because I know that he's a real boxing fan. He's a seasoned citizen, and he's been around the boxing game for a while. And I truly honor and respect his opinion because he ain't about fluff. You know, he's not gonna, BS you or nothing. He's gonna keep it straight down the middle. And I told him about Bam. I said, he told me about, anyway, you gotta check this guy out. I said, hey man, you gotta check this guy Bam out. And I think that right now, I believe in my heart of hearts that Inouye knows that he's right at the crest, at the very top, right on the edge, to where if he go up another weight class and he were to get hit on a regular basis by anybody up there at like 126, it could be over. Like a Shushu, he might be boxing Shushu head off, but if Shushu catch him, it's gonna be a wrap. He ain't gonna be to recover. And I think that because of the level of competition he's been facing, and the regularity that he's been having, you gotta look at Naoya Inouye's run. I mean, because a lot of people they take up on him because they compare what he did with what Bud did, and it's like, yeah, but you was having a guy in Bud who, I mean, you might get once a year, pretty much. You're gonna get once a year. Bam, shit, it's gonna definitely be twice a year, but it's gonna be more than likely it's gonna be 3 or 4 times a year. Like annually at a high level where he's facing championships, moving up divisions, getting back-to-back undisputed, all of that good stuff. And for Bam to finally be like, okay, cool, everybody been talking about this. I know I said I'm open to doing it, but for them to actually be doing it, we getting a gift. Hopefully it ain't gonna be like the Grinch, where we hear about it and all that. Because I was a little last time I kind of had this feeling, even though this feeling is way better. Last time I kind of had this feeling was when they pretty much first announced that David Morrell was going to get his shot at David Benavidez. I was like, what? They really going to let? Or when I heard Diego Pacheco and Soko was actually going to fight, Steven Soko Nelson, when they was going to fight, I was like, what? They actually going to do this? Whole nother implication. This is going to be this would be, if they are to actually, fingers crossed, if they were to actually get it on in December, this would be the epitome of the battle of the little men, like the creme de la creme of the little guys. Because Bam is special, Bam is nice. Bam, I mean, it's either right now, according to my man Crush definition, when he say it's really pretty much just one guy. Like right now, I think you would probably have to default to either David Benavidez or Bam Rodriguez if it was just one guy that you say is absolutely pound for pound, and you didn't go by the whole 10 list. If you say that this one guy, it's tossed. I think Benavidez might slightly be ahead, but if you've been paying attention to Bam, then it's a great argument to have. That would be a great debate. Who's better? Who's pound for pound right now? Like if it's only one guy, as far as what they're doing, how they doing it, like everything that they're doing, how they're moving, how they're pursuing the smoke, like the skill set, and how they just keep, just reminding everybody that I am him. I think right now at this present time, with all things considered, it's either David Benavidez or Jesse Bam Rodriguez. You know what I'm saying? Like pretty much 2 Mexican-American fighters. If I'm going to be honest, that's all we do over here. We pride ourselves on integrity. So I got my fingers crossed, and I don't think Bam should be looking past this guy, Antonio, and all that. But Bam is special. I always say that he look like he be in there on skates. I call him the mechanic. Jason Statham, the mechanic, well, he can fix it. It don't matter what he got to do. He going to get in there, figure it out, and do whatever. You know what I'm saying? But he be looking like, he say he studied Loma. I think he took that shit that he learned from watching Loma, and he took that shit to a whole nother level in his power, his punch placement, how smooth and poised he be. And then he has fun. He'll get dropped. He might get dropped in the fight, get up and laugh, and then go stop the guy. And I've won money on Bam, but one of the biggest bets I've almost won was with Bam considered, and I had him stopping a guy in the first minute of that round. I called the precise round. I had him in the first minute. He waited to the last minute of that round. Man, that man could have got me like $3,000-$4,000. I was like, Bam, You know what I'm saying? But like I don't even be upset when I see stuff like that. Why? Because I mean, as a fan, either way we win. And then I don't never put nothing out there that I can't afford to part ways with anyway. But I'm very excited about that. Because there was all this talk, I don't want to get invested, but yes, you will be seeing, just like the build up with the, you know, Shockey versus the Ray Ford, and how you see me doing regular content about that, just like the build up with Brian Norman and Devin Haney, you see me doing content about that. I'm not gonna do content about certain fights because it's just all political. Like you might see an episode or two with the Boots versus Zayas, you know what I'm saying? But like I don't want to get into it because it's just out of control. People just like they too sensitive about it. You can't be real. You can't talk if you're not, you know, if you're not part of the beehive and you're not waving the beehive. Like people just want to tell you how Boots is gonna beat the shit out of Xander. There's no need to do content about that. You know why? Because everybody's thirsty for an American star right now. In the absence of Tank, with his little legal issues and him stepping away, everybody's thirsty right now. You know, and Bam Rodriguez, he's continuing to do his thing. You know, Naoya, he's not from here, but then also you got David Benavidez who's continuing to do their thing as well. I got AC in here. Let's see. What's good with you, AC?
Yes, sir.
How you doing? Can you hear me? Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah. That was basically me. But yeah, bro. I didn't hear what you said because I was struggling with this sound. There was something going on. Like my computer's like wilding out right now. But yeah. I was listening to part of what you was talking about. You went through the whole housekeeping already, or you was still talking about Bam and Inoue? Because the sound went off when you was talking about. If I'm correct, it sounded like you was talking about Bam and Inoue.
Yeah, I just got to number one on the housekeeping. So I'm just now wrapping it up on number one, Inoue versus Bam. That's, you know, it was said that might happen in December.
Oh, so, that's good, you know. That's good, but just finish up while I try to finish seeing what's going on with this technical difficulty, because I still can't get this background thing to stop talking.
Okay. All right. So the other one is Lamont Roche unofficially joins the active squad. And what you mean by unofficially? Well, according to my research, I think he put his application in, you know, and I'm thinking that it may be approved, but we haven't got a strong confirmation that he's really part of active squad. Now this friends and family extended network, it's like growing so large, so huge that it's an embarrassment to boxing, man. It's an embarrassment to boxing, man. I don't, you know, yes, it's a niche market and all that, but like, I don't know. I don't get boxing right now. It's like it's the get down or lay down. You know, I got nauseous when I seen Spence training with Bud. It's like, well, okay, he beat you, but do that mean you got to get down or lay down? I'm not one of them kind of guys, man. You got to beat me to sleep every goddamn day. I'm not part of the whole, if you can't beat them, join them. Just like, no, you just gonna have to, you know what I'm saying? You just gonna have to smoke me, man. That's just how I've been. I just can't get down with it, man. I'm not joining up. I'm not being a part of no clique. I see people get stabbed, especially on YouTube. I see people get stabbed in the back all the time. They come in, they be all hunky-dory. How you doing? And this and all friendly and all this. And it's like, because you got this big network. You got this big group of people that you have access to. They want access to it. So they'll be your friend for a long time. They'll co-sign and nod their head and smile and agree and all that. And all the while, they want to be in your spot. They want to take your place. They just cool with you because they like the people that's following you. And then eventually they're going to come around to finding some kind of beef, making it seem like, oh, you just did something totally egregious after they've already been awarded all of the people that you had or the semblance of the people that's following you and all that. That's why I said, listen, It can't be like that over here with the 300. You're gonna rock with the 300 over here with Bodywork on the channel, based on the fact that we tell the truth, we speak facts. We're not gonna sugarcoat it. We will say the thing that is not the most popular and that's not going to gain the most attention, and it's not going to be good. It's like medicine. You can get that medicine, you know. So it's like, who you want to get the medicine, you know, mommy or daddy? It's like mommy gonna say, oh, you know, she gonna do the choo-choo train and she gonna make it all smooth and all that. Daddy just gonna say, man, open your mouth and take the medicine. And that's just how we are. We gonna tell you, hey man, listen, take this boxing medicine. And right now, Lamont Hollywood Roach, I don't know. I mean, in a sense of promotion wise, he's putting on a lot of young guys. And you know, AC talked about it the other day about how No Excuses really doing their thing, and I highlight that they really are. Like his father, his pops, like everything, they doing their thing. But like after that Tank fight, man, it's almost like that shit went to Lamont head, and now he's putting his application for the active squad. We don't know if we got approved, but like it's kind of funny how all these guys want to be down. And if you really listen, you could be a fan, but if you really listen to what's going on and how everybody's being down, it's almost like some mafia type shit. Well, you gotta be down, or you can't say nothing. I ain't about that. I was one of the main ones when Caleb Plant did that crazy fight with Canelo, and it was like he was really outboxing Canelo. Then he got hit and then he went down and he stood up. He did this awkward little fall and then stumbled and all that. I was one of the only channels that came out and said, yeah, they was basically saying that the Mexican mafia was telling them, hey man, you could win this fight, but I wouldn't win this fight. Wink, wink, if you know what I mean. I know all about it because truck driving, yeah, I've been truck driving. I'm going to Laredo, going all around and going in and out of Texas. And I know how they do. They'll leave your ass hanging up there on one of them bridges if you say the wrong thing. So I already know how serious it is. It's just like, look, man, we just boxing fans. We just pure boxing fans. And if you can't be honest as a commentator, especially, I can see if you're getting paid. Now, them guys, they got a check to defend. They company men. Chris Mannix, company men. We're going to get into that big time. But Lamont, you a fighter. Like, why would you, like, you're like, okay, you and Tank wasn't, like, y'all was cool, right? Y'all wasn't BFFs. Y'all didn't have this love affair like Jonathan and David from the Bible, the way Keyshawn and Shakur got, right? Y'all didn't have that, but y'all had a history and y'all was cool. Like, Tank gave you an opportunity. You shit on that man every chance you get. Now you running around kissing Shakur in them ass and trying to be down like Brandy with that. I don't get that. I respect those Shocky energy. Like, nope, I want to fight them all one by one. I want to send them all home crying. That's the energy I got. It's like, I'm not going to join. I don't give a fuck how large the network is. I don't care how big the perk is. I don't know how many more subscribers I can get by linking up and putting the hashtag and saying I'm part of. I'm not doing all of that. So come out here and speak the truth. If you rock with me, you rock with me. You could be a part of all that shit, but if you rock with me, you rock with me because of me. That's why I rock with Oshaki, because he went on $1 million worth of game. He went on Cam and Mace. It is what it is. He go everywhere and he keeps the same energy. He's the same him. He ain't got to change faces or get into character or do all of this. But it's like these guys are morphing. Bridgerton Hitchens, morphing. Ray Savage, we just seen what happened with him in Lamont is trying to be down. Like, why you want to go join that whole fiasco? So now your name gonna be in the hat for Oshaki. And we always hear, like, we've heard ever since. Because before, remember, everybody was shitting on Tank for picking Lamont. And I remember I told y'all about this dude, Candy Slim, who said, he basically said, Lamont, because they were saying over there on TVV, they were saying that a lot of the guys for Lamont would be a good fight for all these guys. Lamont would be a good fight for Keyshawn. He'll be a good fight for Shakur. He'll be a good fight. I'm like, well, how is he a good fight? But this is everybody else. Just like Cruz is a good fight for everybody else. Ryan is a good fight for everybody else. Mario Barrios was a good fight for everybody else. But in the same, like, dumbass fashion, Lamont would be a good fight for everybody else, right? But when Tank picked him, they said that wasn't a good fight. And I said, you a hypocrite. And he was like, well, it wasn't until he proved that he was a good fight by fighting Tank that now he's a good fight. No, it's no. You're being hypocritical. And that's what we need to do, man. Like, if y'all, I've been trying to tell y'all, man, boxing politics is ruining boxing. Not just boxing talk, but boxing politics. We're making it solve. When you co-sign and all that, and your standards ain't there, and it's clear double standards for certain fighters. Like, there is a clear double standard for Tank Davis. There is a clear double standard for Shakur Stevenson. Like, things that Tank was doing, he used to get crucified. People just letting Shakur get on by because of what? His affiliation with Bud and all of that. And this network is just growing and growing and growing. Remember, one of my guys, Richardson Hitchens, I just said, hey, man, I can't condone that stuff that Richardson is doing. I liked Lamont Roach prior to. I came out when the fight happened with Tank. I said he won. I said by the rules, he won. I might have caught a lot of, flack from the guys who rock with Tank and all that, but like everybody knows, I'm one of the biggest fans of Tank. You know what I'm saying? They know. A lot of people just come out and they'll just, if they can't, we'll be talking about 3 different boxes and all that. They figure they can't get to me. They're going to come out and say something egregious about Tank, thinking I'm going to bite on it. But I learned I'm not going to bite on that shit. I'm just going to make you look and sound dumb if you really want to debate or talk or bring up a point that don't make no damn sense. I'm just going to flatline that shit. So it kind of disgusted me being from the DMV, pulling for Lamont Roach. I remember watching the Hector Garcia saying, I hope they don't rob this boy. I hope they don't rob this boy. And they got the decision right. And I said, okay, there he go. And then Tank gave him a shot. He extended, that's extending an olive branch. Saying, hey, man, go ahead, let's break bread with somebody that you really grew up with, somebody that you really got history with. And now Lamont is basically defaulting over to being an extended Brat Pack member. But he better learn from Richardson Hitchens, because Richardson Hitchens thought he be thinking that he's really part of that whole clique. And Shakur don't look at him like that. They don't treat him like that. I tell you, like, if this was back in the day when we had cell phones and all that shit, like, he would be one of them people to where, he would have to wait till the nights or the weekends to actually use the phone. If you get my drift. He wouldn't, anytime, like those minutes that you had, like, no. He would have to go with the anytime minutes, the minutes that start after 7 p.m. or in the weekend, you know what I'm saying? That's when he can use the phone. So Lamont Roach think because, him and Shakur and went blah, blah, blah. But like, remember, they were shitting on Tank before he made the fight. After he made the fight, that's when Shakur and everybody else started saying, oh yeah, I'll fight Lamont and all this and all that, right? But like, it's funny how they get to run around with the benefit of the doubt saying, oh yeah, I'll fight him, I'll fight them. But there's no pressure to actually make the fight. But you bring up Tank Davis, he had all the pressure. It was always his fault. Why? Because he was the A side. Even with the shit that Shakur did when he got offered a fight by Tank, and he was like, nah, I want a multi-fight deal. I don't just want a one-off. Tank and them just wanted to smash and dash, or grab and go, a one-night stand, a one-off. No, Shakur wanted a commitment in 3-fight deals. Like, nah, man, you being clingy. I just want to get in the ring with you, smash, dash, and just be on my way. And they say Tank up. And now he gets to walk around with all this network, and the network is growing. All these minions and all this other stuff and all this network. It's just, if we don't say nothing about it, I say silence is consent. Meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail is for men and women to remain silent. So we got to speak to these things, man, or where you gonna go to hear the real? Because everybody want to be political. Everybody wants to be political. Like, I'm finding that people from this Northeast region, even though I'm out here in Baltimore, it's considered Maryland. Sometimes people consider it DMV. People from the area don't say DMV and include Baltimore, but on the grand scheme of things, to the rest of the world, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. This general area, DC, Maryland, Virginia area, that's pretty much the general area. Growing up from PG, I know the definition of what the DMV is, but like being from this area, I can't really say that I'm affiliated with the people that's from like the Northeast region. Why? Because they are so biased. They cannot tell the truth. They are so sensitive. They get to talk so much shit about everybody else. But the minute you use their own logic and reasoning against them, they shitting bricks. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really I'm not keen on what Lamont is doing. Maybe he feel like he gotta do that. I don't know. I think he's made a name for himself. I mean, my father-in-law, I just say my father-in-law yesterday, and he was talking about him. And he was pulling for him. He was saying, man, listen, man, I think he got this. He got a bad shake on this. He got a bad shake on this. He's not getting his, just due, so to speak, and this and this and that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I agree with that. But Lamont got to do something. All this posturing and all this moving around and all, like, no, man, Tank got you lit. You got to make the best of it. You got a pit bull crew to fight out of it, right? And we keep hearing you attaching your name to all these different people. Allah, all these people, like how Shakur attached his name to all these different people. How Keyshawn attached his name to all these different people. I talked about the Linguini brothers, Devin and Keyshawn, where they attached themselves to all these different names. Didn't fight either one of them. Devin still ain't got to fight. And they cleared him to Duck Roley, and people don't say nothing about that. They say O'Roley fought. O'Roley didn't want to do this, and O'Roley had his mandatory power. Well, how did that age well with Catterall doing that? It's just how this is how boxing is. This is why we gotta be straightforward. We gotta be truthful about what we're talking about, man. And we can't let these things slide, man, because you're gonna sound like a hypocrite. Especially, I hear it all the time. People making points now, and I'm like, hold on. When it came to this guy over there, it was something totally different. Well, unfortunately, guys, Lamont Hollywood Roach looks like he's on that path to being part of the Brat Pack. So he's going to get the benefit of the doubt to be able to attach himself to all these different names and no pressure to really. He can say, oh, yeah, I'll fight Shakur. Oh, yeah, I want to fight him now. Oh, yeah. Well, I seen the Ring magazine with him and Keyshawn taking a picture. I'm like, Keyshawn? That was part of the Linguini brothers when I had that up there with Keyshawn. All these names he attached himself to ain't fighting none of them. But they get the benefit of the doubt from the time they start attaching themselves to the name until their next fight. They get the benefit of the doubt and all the praise. Like, oh yeah, well he would have, he should have, he could have. No, apply the same Tank standard to them. No, he has to fight these names or stop saying these names. That's where we at with Lamont Roach right now. And it's disgusting. But Shakur is finalized. The last one is Shakur finalizing a deal with Zuffa. Chris Mannix broke that news. And I'm going to tell you, man, that shit that we witnessed yesterday, with it being a Top Rank and Matchroom venture, Top Rank better be careful. Top Rank better be careful. I understand that the Zone is a network and all that, but like when you have commentators and everybody is like Matchroom heavy, and you got Top Rank fighters, especially with Oshaki being the champ, you gotta think about it. This is the second time, because with Fulton, he was going up against the PBC. And all the people that be saying I be gang banging for the PBC, but guess what I was saying last time? I said, no, they was not doing Oshaki right on the last fight. Why? Because they were treating Fulton like he was the champion when he was really the challenger, going to go challenge a guy for his belt. He was the one that was unprofessional and missed weight and did all these things. But the way not Sergio, Moro Rinaldi and all them guys, the way they called it the same way they call every fight, the same exact thing. Like they call what they see. Every now and again, you get a little bit of bias and everything. And I'm like, hold on, this is one of them awkward nights. But I was talking about this when that happened with the PBC. Top Rank got to be careful with this merger, having these Matchroom guys call Top Rank fights and all that, because Mannix, to me, first of all, he picked Ray Ford. But his scorecards are the guys they were using for the unofficial. Now I agree with his unofficial scorecards up until going into the fifth. I did have it 38-38 going into the fifth. So after the first 4 rounds, I had it 38-38. I had it even. But he was the first one to come out there and won. Yeah, he picked Ford, right? 2, he was the first one to throw water all over the Oshaki fight. Think about it. He was the first one to say, I'll give the potential of Shakur being able to fight O'Shaquie or taking that fight as less than 0%. And then he proceeded to say, because right now Shakur Stevenson is getting ready to, he's in the process of finalizing a Zuffa deal. And since I dig a little deeper, right, when it comes to these things, that's like, hold on, man. Well, why do Zuffa and them be advertising that they can make all these fights with all these different people? Aha. You gotta listen to what they say. Okay, so all these people going over there to Zuffa and they saying, man, we could fight anybody, we could do this. It's like, aha. So why would Chris Mannix be coming out saying that fight has 0% chance of being done, but he's in the process of finalizing the fight with Zuffa? That mean them guys on Zuffa, a la Ja Opataya, who getting ready to fight another no-name guy. I mean, Brandon Glanton, people knew who he was, like a little bit. They knew. I knew who Brandon Glanton was. You know, we knew he wasn't no world beater, but we did know that he was up at, you know, in the IBF, he was up around, I thought he was number 11 or 12, but they wound up saying he was number 10 in the IBF. So people knew who he was. This guy, Ja Opataya, getting ready to fight, and they got the nerve to say that David Benavidez is ducking him. You was going to get a David Benavidez. It was widely reported that all you had to do was either defend your strap or sit still, and David Benavidez was coming for you after Zerto. That was already in the bag. You went over there to Zuffa, and now there's no more talks, and now everybody, the media, he who controls the printed page, controls the thinking of this age, is starting to say that that David Benavidez is ducking Ja Opataya. I'm like, how that work? When you run over to an island, a la like how Shakur ran over to Matchroom, away from the 2 belts that was on Top Rank and the 1 belt that was on PBC, but everybody was ducking him, and he told Eddie not to make the fight. So now he getting ready to go from an island over there to an island over there, and Devin doing the same thing. They were trying to say Devin was blackballed and all this. Rolly, another B-side, just like Shakur. I mean, just like O'Shaquie sent an offer. Rolly sent an offer. They're being reported, like, I don't know where the news is at, but Bill was saying that it was a $100 million deal. He was going over there to Zuffa. And then you just hear Richardson Hitchens the other day, because Richardson Hitchens, he defacted. He defacted over there. What's his name? Bum-ass Berlanga. He defacted over there. Berlanga needed it. Hey, Richardson Hitchens didn't need to do that. The Zuffa is starting to be like the new witness protection program. Y'all know how people be saying, like, y'all know how they was like, oh man, Demetrius Andre, when he went over there to Matchroom, that he was like pretty much ducking all the smoke over there with PBC. It's like, I saw it both ways. It's like, no, he wanted to fight Triple G and Canelo, and they were over there on that island. That makes sense. But what did he get? A European bum bashing tour. Never got Triple G, never got Canelo. People made excuses the same way they're doing for Shakur right now for that move. So now, Chris Mannix came out, poured water all over the O'Shaquie fight, saying that fight is less than 0% chance. I'm like, okay, so take Chris Mannix. Don't take my word for it. Don't take our word for it, right? But you got a deep thinker. You got to think a little deeper and analyze what's going on, because if he say that it's 0% chance, and it's reported that Shakur is going over there to Zuffa, and Shakur would be one of the biggest. Shakur would be the biggest name over there. If he went right now, Shakur would be the biggest name over there. Because Devin ain't over there. It was reports and this and that, but like right now, Shakur would be the biggest name over there. Even bigger than Conor Benn. Especially like with American boxing, the shit that makes, you know what I'm saying, that we take priority over. Conor Benn is a big name. He done the freak shows over there, whatever, the circus acts over there. You know, he got a name. He went over there. Yeah. But Shakur would be the biggest name over there. And they be trying to tell you that, oh man, yeah, just because you were Zuffa, that don't mean you can't get these fights. They were trying to sell us on that. But why would Chris Mannix say that? There's zero possibility. And then try to pawn, you know, O'Shaquie off on all these other things and all this and that. Like, you know. That was the news yesterday. That was the news late last night after the fight, where Chris Mannix came out there and said, yeah, Shakur's in the process of finalizing the deal with Zuffa. To fight who? For what? I mean, unless it's Devin Haney, because they saying Conor Ben gonna fight Ryan. When they interviewed Oscar, he was saying, "Yeah, I'm open and this and that," but like, imagine them working together and all. I don't know how it's gonna work. So either they changing their ways, or they're being selective, because they saying that it was Ryan went out and announced something one night on, I think, Jimmy Kimmel or one of them late night shows, saying it was going to go. When they talked to Oscar about it, he was, I don't know if he was playing politics, keeping something close to the vest or whatever, trying to, use some kind of, I don't know what he was doing. But he didn't say it was etched in stone, 100% concrete. Somebody let me know if it's already on Box Rec and when it's going down. I mean, other than speculation and rumors. We heard a lot of fights that was speculation and rumors that was supposed to happen that didn't happen. But how is that? So this is what I be trying to say. Y'all got to think critically and stop just running around with what everybody is saying and just doing. Because think about it. Why would Conor Ben be able to fight Ryan? Even though Oscar is Golden Boy and he's like a mortal enemy of Dana White. He would be able to do that. But if Shakur goes over there, there is 0% chance that he could be fighting O'Shaquie, or he would even be entertaining something with that. I mean, unless it was a Devin Haney. I'm not talking about the whole, potential opponents. I'm just saying, because he's going over to Zuffa, why would that be a hard stop? Why? Because it is a hard stop when you go over there. Unless they're changing their ways. And we don't know that for certain. Because Jao Batar should be fighting David Benavidez next. He's not. Is he? And he got stripped. So, I mean, that's the housekeeping, y'all. That's really the housekeeping, man. Anyway, and Bam in December, Lamont Roach. Yeah, I mean, he's doing his active squad stuff. He's acting like he's like a new member of the active squad. And then you got Shakur, according to Chris Mannix, finalizing the deal with Zuffa. That's the housekeeping. What you got, AC?
Bro, you hit something I was definitely about to say with the whole Zuffa thing, because like I said, I was running with this I just found this channel and this dude and everything, and surprisingly, I found somebody who disappeared and stuff like that, but they wind up popping up, and now I know where they are, but they haven't gotten out of pocket with me and stuff like that, and they don't even try to challenge what I say as far as when I'm cooking. But here's what it is. That the conversation was about Zuffa, and one of the dudes was saying that Zuffa, for some reason, he was like hard body on Zuffa, like, y'all just don't understand. It don't see what y'all think is gonna happen with Zuffa, and people saying, Zuffa's causing people to lose their belts and stuff. It's not them, it's the sanctioning bodies. Because the sanctioning bodies could work with Zuffa and stuff like that. And I'm like, bro, that's impossible. Zuffa wants to consider their entire organization, the sanctioning body, the promoter, everything, and that violates the spirit of the Ali Act. That's why they're going after it. That's why Obatai lost his belt, because when the IBF contacted them, and I'm just giving a quick timeline, when the IBF did contact Zuffa, Zuffa told them, no, we don't respect your belt. We are our own sanctioning body, and our belt is sanctioned within our own company. So it's not a trinket. And we will not have our belt be relegated to a trinket, much like the WBC did when they introduced the franchise belt. Zuffa didn't want to have it as being considered as a franchise belt, but we did see the franchise belt in its original state was supposed to not be transferable. It's supposed to go to the tippity top of the guy and all of this other stuff. So Zuffa didn't want to change what they did. They're out to make their own statement. I said, this is why Obadiah was whatever. Also, I'm asking you this. How is Rolly gonna fight Ryan? And he was like, well, that fight ain't set and there's no this. I said, okay, simple Google. That fight is set for December, homie.
You mean Conor Ben?
Yeah.
You mean Conor Ben and Ryan?
Yeah. Conor Ben and Rolly. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I'm like, bro, Conor Ben and Rolly is set for what's the name? For September, bruh. But I guarantee you, that's just a fight. Conor Ben is not the Zuffa champion. He doesn't hold the Zuffa belt, much like Obadiah did. Obadiah was marketed as the IBF champion versus Brandon Glanton for the Zuffa title. This fight has nothing there. What title is on the line for these two guys? Ryan is smart enough not to give it up, and he told them, listen, I'm not giving up my belt for this. So if you just want to make the contract for the fight, then we're just fighting, as a preliminary for whoever's, you got one of the names once everything pans out for the other side of possibly a ring belt or a ring tournament. That's the only reason why I could see signing Devin Haney, Hitchens, and stuff like that, because I said, okay, so if you're going to tell me it's all for the ring belt, who is the ring champion? Who is not yet signed, but is actually finalizing his deal? That's Shakur Stevenson. So we're not hearing anything Shakur Stevenson versus Richardson Hitchens. So therefore, you can't sit here and tell me that these big name fighters that are being signed because they're the ring champion. Hitchens is not, and Hitchens gave up his belt. So I don't know how you making this stuff up. Obadiah lost his belt. So it's not what you're saying. The format is not even what Zuffa's saying. They're just making this shit as they go along. So
bingo. That's what I'm about to say, AC. Are they just making this shit up as they go along, man?
Yeah, because nothing is consistent based on what they said, based on what they testified to the House and Senate. Nothing is making sense. So if Shakur, and I asked the dude, I said, so listen, I'm asking you this. If Shakur goes over there to fight, who does he fight? Who's his first fight? I don't know yet. It's, Shakur is, you just seen how big Shakur looked over O'Shaq. So, he could do whatever. I said, what? Hold on, bro. Let me see your ball for a second. Give me that. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm just like, my guy, bro. People, when you look at reporters and other people, what's the best way fighters conduct? They change promotional companies. The core changed promotional company. There was no reason for Obadiah to change promotional company, management and everything, because the guy he fought, he could have fought under the same rules that he currently had his belt. So there is no way that Obadiah going after the WBC champ is showing everybody that he's forcing, Benavidez going after the WBC champ is showing everybody that, he's trying to force Obadiah out. And I'm like, you guys can't be serious on that narrative. Yeah, it's right here. Look at it. Look at the article. The article states at its heading, WBC orders the WBC champ, I forgot the guy's name, to fight David Benavidez in the unification bout. Okay, I said, okay, let me ask you this question then. If you're going to say that, for that fighter, who does he make more money fighting, Obadiah or David Benavidez in the unification? Yeah, but you're not understanding. No, I'm not understanding because I can't understand idiot. I never learned how to speak that shit, bruh. You feel what I'm saying? So what you're saying makes no sense. If you want to say, is there a possibility for David Benavidez to fight Obadiah? Is there? If you take 2 seconds and look at the ranking system, long story short, and this is where I hang it up and move on to the next one. Obadiah is ranked at the number 4 spot. There is nobody sitting there for the vacant IBF belt at the number 1 spot. And the two names that are there, they're not money makers for David Benavidez. Everybody would say that's a cherry pick. Why won't you pick Obadiah? We've seen in championship fights where they went all the way down to the 7th or 8th person. In Obadiah's case, he went all the way down to the 10th guy. And those of us who've seen when his name was first announced actually saw he was ranked at number 12. And somehow or another, by the time that fight was made, we find out that this dude done moved up 2 slots to make it look good, to make it look like at least he's fighting somebody in the top 10.
Now, before you move on to the other one, let me ask this question, because that's why I flashed this thing with Ryan having a WBC. How is he going to fight Conor Ben? Like, is that, like, I know they're saying it's in December, but how, like, as far as the WBC, like, what? I gotta look into that
because Zuffa can take on the role based on what Zuffa testified about itself. Zuffa is actually a promotional company, and I brought up the examples when I was cooking this dude to where he was like, "Yo, Flyer," and I was like, "Wow, you just got beat down like that you went over to Flyer to be like, yo, can you help me out here? Can you mute this guy or something? You feel what I'm saying?" I said, listen, bro, here's the example where Zuffa played a promotional role in one of the biggest fights, and they've done it 3 times prior to that on the Riyadh card. It was Riyadh in Zuffa Productions in conjunction with, Matchroom or Queensbury. Zuffa's been there. So they're already familiar on how to act like a promoter. They promoted big shows. They did Canelo versus Terrence Crawford. That was a Zuffa promotion, bruh. So listen, for Ryan, and I was like, for Ryan to fight Conor Ben doesn't have a Zuffa belt, so there's no conflict of interest. In that case, all you have to do is make the fight, because then Zuffa takes on the role of just being a promoter to Conor Ben.
Okay. So that brings me back to Shakur. That means that they're going to try to make Shakur some kind of Zuffa champ or whatever, because why would they shoot down the fact that he could fight Oshaki if they were just going to be his promoter?
Because in that case, they could fight the same way I was explaining to old boy with Obadiah and the IBF. The IBF has him at number 4. If the IBF was truly shitting on him, they would have completely moved him from the ranking. But they said, listen, we'll give you the opportunity to say you might not have known, and we're not going to fully penalize you, but we will strip you of the title, but we're going to keep you within the top 5. Within the top 5 of the IBF, you can easily be chosen or whatever for a championship fight. That's within the IBF bylaws. You feel what I'm saying? So he's still in contention. If David Benavidez should choose him for the big money fight to fight him, and the fight gets promoted because you're not the IBF champ. You're fighting for the vacant belt, but the fight is basically based on the same thing I was telling you before, the ring belt the ring belt.
So they trying to make this, so they really trying to do this Shakur Moritalia thing then, huh, for the ring?
Probably. Because Shakur is actually the ring champion. And it doesn't, see that because they're making it up as they move along, they realize that the first attempt, they screwed Obadiah over. And the graciousness of the sanctioning body said, you know what? Yeah, these guys don't know what they're doing. We're not going to remove him. We're not even going to take him out of the top 5. He was our previous champion. And people like, they're not going to do that. I said, listen, they stripped Obadiah before. Stripped him again, but still left him in the top 5. The first time they stripped him because he wouldn't fight old boy, they still left him within the top 5. He only had to go to basically 2 fights or so to get back his belt. So Obadiah is within striking distance of getting that belt back if David Benavidez does what he's doing and saying, all right, I'm going after all the belts. The only belt that's left is the vacant IBF. They're not
Okay.
gonna just give that fight to Obatiah. You got to make that shit make sense with somebody else who's actually relevant in one of the sanctioning bodies. That's his punishment. We'll keep you ranked, but we're not giving you any fight unless you fight somebody in the sanctioning bodies to show you who's the real big dog. And if that's the gameplay they're playing with Obatiah, it's the lesson learned. And I hope everybody's looking at it, including Hitchens, because Hitchens, I said Hitchens dropped his belt. They're like, nah, Hitchens didn't drop his belt. He was moving up anyway. So he didn't drop the belt. He didn't voluntarily drop his belt to go over to Zuffa because he still could have moved up.
Yeah, he could have moved up and used his leverage in the IBF to say, hey, listen, I represented y'all. You know, I won the belt. I defended it. And now I'm moving up. I'm putting my paperwork in. Now I might not leapfrog nobody as far as who the current champion got, but like I will have next. Like, you know, they wouldn't have had no pushback with that.
Exactly. So again, there's two examples of two champions who lost their belts, dropped their belts, however you want to say it. They no longer hold the belt in the division that they had when they initially signed the contract to work with Zuffa. That was Hitchens Price dropped that belt. Or IBF is going to strip you the minute you fight for a Zuffa title, which tells you that if Shakur is the number 140 guy, the number one guy at 140 according to Ring and Zuffa and stuff like that, Hitchens, you're going to fight for a Zuffa belt, and then you may get that fight if you don't go to 47. I know the rumors are saying you're going to 47, but who are you going to fight at 47?
Man, so they treating this ring like it's a franchise, like they picking and choosing.
Yes, that's why I was trying to tell them dudes, man, listen, man, that they're running everything like it's the franchise champion. So that's going to be the part where some of those heavy casual fans that just want to see the spectacles and stuff like that, they're going to love what Zuffa's doing. For those of us who are like, yo, if it's about legacy and you want to do X, Y, and Z, we're going to be all over the place with Zuffa. Some of the situations we may like, the other ones we're going to be like, that is some absolute bull. You know what I'm saying? And for some of these guys, most of these guys that have these big names, they're signing because they want those glorified sparring matches that the media is going to just tell you, oh, did you see the way he beat him and yada, yada, yada. Moving on to the next one, Mr. Lamont Roach again. I am so happy that fight turned out the way it did. You know, in my perspective, the way I was seeing the fight, I didn't have it pretty much a draw going into the fifth. I had Oshaki either 3-1 or 4-0 because those were close. Ray was doing some stuff, but it was like, for me, it was more so like the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh where I thought Ray won some rounds because it was like when his coach told him to cut off that right side exit, and he was doing it, and he was catching him with that, and it was making Oshaki, you know, put his hands in his pocket for a little bit. He wasn't throwing those sneaky flurries that, okay, Ray'll hit me with something, or to appear to hit me, it'll bounce off my shoulder or whatever, and then I'll just come back and keep that front foot pressure. So he controlled the real estate, and that's why I gave him the aggression and stuff like that. And then he would steal moments by just getting away with his 3-punch combination. So those early rounds, I kind of gave it to him. I gave Ray the middle rounds, and I gave him the champion, and I gave Oshak the championship rounds. So for me, when I listened to Shakur's breakdown when he was ringside, and I was listening to Lamont Roach talking the day before and stuff like that, I mean, they were talking in terms of things being definitive. Like, yeah, there's, you know, Ray is just going to be too much. He's too strong, he's too young, too fast, he's too everything. But then, you know, when he found out that, okay, if he's got the longer reach and he's tagging me with this jab before me and I'm supposed to have the faster hands, maybe I'll play the role of counterpunching, or maybe that was part of the game plan. Yeah, I'm make him think I'm gonna go forward and then make him come to me. You know what I'm saying? And then let me counter off his shots. I can't really say, but at the end of the day, I'm happy that the fight turned out that way. And people like Lamont Roach and some of these other people who are definitely trying to be down with that whole situation, they all got to eat crow. You know what I'm saying? And
we be on the same. Hold on. We be on the same shit of music. Cause look at what I had. Look at what I had came up with just because. This is what I came up with just because. That's one of the points right there. I was like, man, just eat it. No BS excuses, narratives, or caveats needed. Just eat it, man. Nobody did that today. All these people that was all Ray gonna do this, little Ray, and oh man, you gonna see and all this. Just eat the crow.
Yeah, and they like, nah, Ray was tired. Ray was tired. And I was like, yeah, getting punched in the body, chasing somebody you can't cut the ring off with, and then missing a lot of punches and being forced to think about shit every second of every moment. Yeah, that shit is tiring, both mentally and physically. Nah, he was just tired. I was like, then how do you get tired? What was going on that he was so tired? Like, explain it to me. And nobody could explain it to me. And it was just like, and it was funny because I was on a channel that's heavy Philly. But they were so, like, some of the members of the panel was so, biased on, certain things. I was just like, wow, y'all really gonna make this easy for me and let me have this much fun this late at night? Wow, y'all gonna have me go to sleep with a smile on my face. But at the end of the day, man, justice was served in that victory. And to talk about the Inoue and Bam fight coming in December, I hope that's true. I hope that fight does get across the line. We actually get there and stuff like that. And bro, that would be something amazing. Now the other part of it is this. The part that concerns me, whether the fight's really going to happen or not, is I don't know if it's actually true, but I keep seeing these like little rumors where Inoue's family's supposed to be telling them to retire while you on top, yada yada yada, and all of this other stuff. And for me, I think I feel like this. I can understand what they're saying. For you, Inoue, your rise to fame came when you beat what's the Nonito Donaire. You know what I'm saying? And Bam coming up to beat you and challenge you is almost like a reverse of that situation. Donaire was the man. Donaire had some questions around him, but he was still the man. You went up there and you did your thing with Donaire twice. You're kind of primed for that when it comes down to Bam and you. Bam has those angles and stuff like that we haven't seen you face an angle fighter like that. A guy that really has great control of the angle and knows how to set traps through those angles and can be right in front of you and then be on the side of you and then be on the other side of you in less than, a second and a half. And he punched you at least 6 times in between each one of those shifts. So that's what Bam, to a certain degree, is bringing. He's bringing a ring IQ, and a ring IQ that's based in lateral movement and angles, and we just haven't seen you face that. For those people who thought Fulton was going to be that guy for you, that wasn't the case, because Fulton was believing the hype. And is Fulton better at those angles than Bam? No. So this could be that fight for Inoue, and I think this is why his people are like, throughout your whole career, you never faced a Bam Rodriguez. And if anybody has the tool to defeat your style, it's going to be a fighter that controls angles and has a beautiful understanding of foot placement, angles, and counter shots. And Bam brings all of that to the table. So I can understand it. I think people would rather see him fight Shushu than to see him fight Bam. Because Shushu still has some things to learn. He's still developing, even though he's at his age. You know, Shushu had the tangibles, and Shushu would have to go in his bag and, you know, really work on some other things to be able to compete with in a way like that. But Bam just seems to have it naturally, like it's within his DNA. You know, so, and his frame allows him to, you know, high guard it up, but his high guard is part of his movement and defenses that makes it even more difficult to hit him while he's on the move. The way he holds his high guard and his stature and everything is a protection as he's moving, and he could shoot the counters from there. So yeah, bro, I could see why his family is saying that, and if the fight does get made, I'm gonna be leaning. Honestly, this will be the first time I'm going against Inoue, but I'll be on the Bam bandwagon. Like, yeah, I got Bam on this one. I think he has all the tools to beat him.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Me and my father-in-law, I was like, that's gonna be my guy against your guy, Pervert. Even though I like both guys, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I'm looking forward to it. But you know, just to address the thing with Shushu. See, I think that there'll be spurts to where, you know, Inoue will be able to outbox him. But I think that he'll be outboxing him until he get caught. Because I think once Shushu really hit him and he catch him clean the way Inoue been getting hit clean, that's why I think that he's at the apex of where he needs to be. If he go up one more division, I think it's going to be bad news. And I don't think that Shushu is going to be the only one that can do it. Even though he got the skills, it'll be looking good. He'll be outboxing, and then he'll get caught. Because if he get hit the way Cardenas hit him, the way some of these guys that hit him flush and dropped him, the way Neri hit him and dropped him, he can't take that from a dude at 126. Because a dude like Shushu, I think Shushu really need to be at 130 right now, because he's just at that point like Cruz, to where he ain't gonna have any more growth spurts, and he's like pretty much maxed out at his size, but he's still cutting. He's cutting severely to make that weight. So I think that as long as he can make that weight, I think that fight, if he is like, if it's the lesser of two evils, right, then yeah, he can get away with going up there to 126 and fighting Shushu if he makes Shushu wait another year. Because I don't think Shushu got another year at that division. Shushu got to get it popping with everybody, or he gonna have to move up. You know, I could see it in his face, in his off time. Like, he don't look, he like Bam in the off, like when he's not in training and all that, he look like a totally different guy. I think that the more competitive fight, based on whether or not Bam can take, you know, what Inoue is dishing, which I think he will, because I think that his defense and how he move will negate the leverage that Inoue can't create. Because Bam is like, he be in there on skates. He's like, he probably got the best footwork in boxing to me, you know, as far as how he can, you know, shift from side to side. He's mastered that Lomachenko. He looked at Lomachenko, he took that shit up a whole nother notch, and then the leverage and how his timing, he's just a perfect little fighter to me, you know. So I think that's fireworks. But I think if Bam goes up there, I mean, if Inoue goes up there to see somebody like Shushu anytime soon, like within the next 6 months to a year, if he make him wait, he got a shot. But if he go up there anytime soon, I think he's gonna get caught, and he ain't gonna be able to recover the way he just get back up. I think it's different.
So I'm just gonna ask the question: you think Shushu is mentally there to whereas he can read something with Inoue and set that trap?
Yeah, because I think what it's gonna be is initially Inoue is gonna start off kind of slow at first, and like it's gonna be boxing, and he's gonna be able to tap, but like the punch that he delivered to Inoue, I mean the punch that he delivered to Shushu, it ain't gonna be the same. because he ain't gonna be, you know, he's not. Anyway, is at a point to where he's physically totally in shape. His walk around weight now, so he'll have to put on weight unless he decide to just come in smaller. So it ain't gonna be like he's gonna have all this added punch resistance because he's not cutting as much and all that. He's not. Him and Tank are the same size. That's why I say Tank, because Johnny said Anyway hit the hardest. I'm like, no, him and Tank had the exact same measurement. Tank would knock Anyway's head off into like the 9th row in the crowd. Like if he ever would have touched that dude. He just hit different. But the thing is, if Anyway moves up again, he just gonna be like not cutting whatever. It's gonna be like damn near like his walk, like his true walk around rate. Like, well, he ain't gonna really have to cut nothing, and he gonna go in there and fight. But the power that he's delivering and Houston delivering, he can punch. But Shushu is getting hit by people that's cutting down from bigger weights. The same way like when you seen David going up there to Wizardo or with Yard, like to where them guys are much bigger cutting down. That's why it looked a little different when Benavidez first went to 75, because them guys are much bigger. Them guys might be heavyweight, but in shape heavyweights, not fat weights, not fluffy weights, but they're much bigger guys cutting down. Shushu Dillon, and he's one of them guys that's cutting down slightly. Now, he's not the biggest guy because he don't have the biggest frame, but he's still cutting. So I don't think that Inouye's punches on Shushu will be as impactful as if Shushu ever touch him. And that's the advantage right now. Now, if he catch him, if he catch him as his bones get a little bit more dense and he's been sitting there for a while and it's like, well, damn, I might well go ahead and move up to 130, then, it'll be a different fight. So I think that picking, for one, Bam is the bigger name. He probably, based on whether or not Bam can take his punch, because he'll be moving up there. He'll be moving up 2 more divisions by the time that happened, if he's to get past this guy Antonio Vargas. So it'll be more competitive unless Bam just shows like, hey, look, I'm just that guy down here. I'm the king of the little guys right now. Like, it'll be more competitive, and it's a bigger name, more lucrative, and it'd be more dangerous, less lucrative. You know what I'm saying? And he knows he can't get caught, so I don't think he's gonna be able to fight the way he normally fight against Shushu. And that's why I think.
Yeah, let me say this, man. Just like with the Damas, I'm hearing what you're saying, and some of it I would take back. I'm one of the things that I tend to do with Shushu at times, and I have to stop doing it, and I'm saying it myself, because I forget he's 29 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Because his face is so young. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I forget he's 29, so I'm still thinking he's a younger guy that's within the same vein as that Abdullah Mason and Brian Norman Jr. You feel what I'm saying? So that's, I can say on my behalf, sometimes that may come into the bias of how I may initially look at him, but when you started to bring up his tangibles and stuff like that, I was like, let me double check, because why am I thinking Shushu is young? And then I'm like, oh shit, yeah, he's 29.
I compare him almost like how he's not as late starter, and Andy Cruz did a lot more because he went to the Olympics and did that, but it's the same way. That's why I knew this is why I was pressuring Keyshawn so much, because I'm like, yeah, you just want to dip off to 40, because more than likely Cruz ain't ever gonna go to 40, because he's already old enough. His bones can't get but that much more denser, and like, he's not a big stature guy. Like, that's you see when he lost to Mortada, they were talking about him going down. Like, nah, he don't need to go down. He need to just stay right there and just rule right there. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's like big money for him to move down, like a big fight to where it's like, yeah, because he can cut it, but like, he's not, they're grown men where they ain't got, like, they're not like Xander or even Brian Norman or these younger guys, like even Abdullah, where they're gonna grow. Even Zay Quinn Moses, that's the danger with him. It's like, the way you fighting right now, if you can't get these guys out of there, you're gonna have a growth spurt, and then you're gonna be up there getting punched on by dudes that's really cutting weight, like bigger guys. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing with Shushu. he probably need to go up one more weight class, but he ain't gonna be at welterweight or nothing like that. You know what I'm
he
saying?
ain't like where's he at right now? 126. I
Mhm.
would have trouble kind of seeing him at 135. He looks like being 29 years old, having that type of frame he got reminds me of myself. Yeah, to he probably walk around at like 140, 142.
You can see it in his face. His face
Yeah.
look just like Bam. If you catch Bam outside of camp and all that, you be like, who is that? Like they don't even look. Shushu, you know that Shushu because he ain't got no facial hair and he got them eyes and the way he look.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
it, man. On that.
at the end of the day, man, I would like to see it, but my issue would probably be it being more of a wish list thing because yeah, I'm with you in the fact that if it doesn't like happen like really within the next year and a half, then let's just write it off. He's not going to get a in-a-way fight because I would probably say by the time he hits 31 or coming close to that birthday, he's going to find out that 26 might start to look better at 30. And I think at 30, that's where we might find prime, you know, like, God damn, Shushu is, we thought he was a beast at 26. He's stepping on everything he come in contact with at 30. And
yeah, I know I know his punch resistance gonna be better, and I know he's gonna be cracking harder. He go to 30.
Yeah, so I like he's one of those fighters. Like I would say, I was talking about a young Devin Haney, even Abdullah Mason. Like I honestly see the best of Abdullah Mason. If he should like, if his frame should pan out that he's a solid 47 pounder. I think a more mature Mason at 47. I find it hard pressed to find a name that I could think of right now that would beat him. And granted that, you know, some of these guys at 47, by the time, if he should get there, they're not going to be there and they'll be
They're not
old.
gonna be there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I seriously doubt that even if they were there, they would be looking at Abdullah Mason, you know, because they would be on their exit to go up to another division because they're at that past 30. You know, my body's different and those weight cuts I ain't trying to deal with like that no more. So yeah, I could see Abdullah Mason being the next thing that brings 47 back, and I think that's his weight class. Like he might do maybe one or two more things at 35, but I don't know if his original plans and stuff like that actually pan out based on his body. I think 40 might be where he actually, you know, starts his like real legendary run, because 40 is always going to be a hotbed. He might meet some of those guys at 40 that are just naturally 40 pounders that really can't put on that 7 pounds and be able to deal with somebody who's really 165 pounds or 168 pounds cutting down to 147. And you know what I'm saying? They're like, nah, 40 is my limit. I can't deal with those big dudes at 47 because most of those guys at 47 are not real 47 pounders. So yeah, I'm good here, and that's where Abdullah's going to be able to get some of those fights with some of those big names, maybe get some stoppages or solid performances, and then by the time he moves up to 47, then you know it's like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Like, God damn, yeah, Abdullah's crazy at 47. You know, so that's the way I feel, bro. So for me, we could start to cook with the meat and potatoes right now. But I'm happy of certain situations, and I would look forward to Bam versus Inoue, because I think that's gonna be a fight and a half. And uh, for me, Inoue is Bam's donaire. He needs
Yeah.
he needs that fight.
Yeah, it's gonna be fireworks, man. Fingers crossed. I mean, we as fans, we can probably look past it, but I know Bam, he got this guy Antonio Vargas, and that's another weight jump. And then he handled him the way I think he will. Then I do look forward to that fight in December. But we can get into the meat and potatoes. Let me see if Foster sticks at 130 and Shushu comes up. You got Bruce, even Navarrete. I think Oshaki. He ain't gonna be at one. If he can't get a Navarrete or one of these big a unification and start like trying to like wrap up either undisputed, he going to 35, man.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna be down there. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna be down there. Because there's nothing really for him, man. And we're gonna get into this now because there's a lot of little elements that I think a lot of people are missing with some things that happen, man. And salute to Dead Wall because he was like, man, this is gonna be a much anticipated cook. And I'm like, yeah, man, I just want to salute the channel, man, because we be standing on integrity, man. We be saying some stuff that might not be the easiest things to say when in this popularity contest of boxing and boxing media and politics. But we stood true to form and called it all the way down the middle. Even when I was like, how was it 50-50 because of the plus minus? And what did it come down to? The whole hit not get hit. The sweet sign, that's ultimately what it came down to. And everybody abandoned reasoning on it. And because of the, affiliations of one guy, they were just riding the reins of this active squad. But what happened was Oshaki Foster told the active squad to hold this L, hold that. And now Oshak is 1-zip and Shakur reneged. So before I get all the way up to the climax where Shakur got in the ring and was taking off his jewelry like he was going to do something, I'm like, I don't know if you noticed, but Oshaki Foster came out there with Trade of Truth. And I'm a parking lot that right there because when you think about it, like he's true Houston, you're a transplant. So we'll come back around to that. But I want to start by saying that, listen, y'all, the fix was in. The fix was in last night. The fix was going to be in, man. And when you think about, for one, I said it's never a good idea, especially with this top rank matchroom thing. They gotta do a better deal. Like even though some of the top rank guys at times, even when they was fighting outsiders, we didn't like it when Top Rank was doing it, and it was just top rank guys fighting guys that had crossed over and crossed the street because they wasn't giving the guys a fair shake. Everything that was said last night and the way they were calling certain fights last night, they were matchroom heavy. And I'm like, if this is going to work, y'all got to balance that shit out. You got to get somebody from Top Rank to do some of the commentary to kind of be, so y'all can play off of each other. I think them guys over at PBC, no matter who comes in, they're just so tenured and so professional with what they're doing. They're just going to call it pretty much like it is. Not saying that they don't, we don't see things that's like, oh, man, hold on, what was going on? Not saying that, but it's rare there. It's rare that last night, them matchroom guys, man, they was so biased in their commentary. And this goes down to the little dude who fought Miguel Flores, Jovan Jr. I don't know what Sergio Mora was talking about. And like all night I was saying, man, what fight are they watching? I was over here damn near cursing at my lady. I said, man, baby, that's why I don't give a fuck about what they be saying. I just be keeping my scores and writing them down and following them along. And I don't get distracted. Every now and again, when they pull up the unofficial here lately, I've been in line with the unofficial. Like that when Rico and Usyk was fighting and then with the Oshaki or whatever, to a certain point, I was in line with what they were saying. But then the commentary, it's like you can be dissuaded by or persuaded by the commentary. And they got to do something to balance that out. And Mannix, you got to think about this. How the fuck is Mannix doing an unofficial scorecard and they went to him before the fight and asked him who he got? He said he had Ray Ford. So when you look at the unofficial, like when you look at the score, that's a conflict of interest. And then you got Sergio Mora talking and Mannix talking through it. It's just like, what are y'all talking about? But the fix was in. Why? Because there were times when this is when that age-old adage goes. Yes, it goes by the 4 boxing scoring criteria. Yes, that's what we all are looking for: ring generalship, defense, effective aggression, and effective punching. Right? It goes by that. But you cannot award a round to a challenger because he landed 1 or 2 or 3 punches, solid punches, unless they like he giving somebody the stinky leg. It's visibly changing the fight. You can't do it because I said this in the Lomachenko. It goes back to the Lomachenko and Tio fight. They started awarding Lomachenko rounds just because he was more active than he was before. That don't mean that he's outboxing or doing anything in the foreign scoring criteria that's going to do otherwise. In that sense, Tio was taking it to the perceived champ in Lomachenko when he was doing that. In this case, Ray Ford was doing a lot of standing around. Yeah, he might get 1 or 2 good punches off on him, and they would say, "Oh, he got him," and they were reacting everything. They were reacting a lot to when Ray Ford was landing punches. They ultimately did when Oshaki cranked it up, but they were awarding Ray Ford rounds because he landed a good punch. It's like, well, what was he doing? You have to take a strap from a champ. You have to take it. And see, even though I said in that Tank fight when he fought Lamont, I came out and said, man, Tank, man, that's my dog. You know what I'm saying? I was pissed off because he didn't fight the way he showed Lamont too much respect. But I was saying that, okay, some people were making an argument with did he do enough to take it from the champ? And that was their basis. I'm not going to argue with them on that because I was basing on the 4 scoring criteria. You add in that knee stuff and all that, it's just like, okay, man, look, man, if it's that debatable, okay, he won. But there were people that was coming out saying you have to take a strap from the champ. Ray Ford was not doing enough to take a strap from Oshaki. Even in the rounds when he landed a good punch or 2 punches or whatever, it's 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes in a round. You can't land 3 punches where you didn't stinky leg somebody, knock somebody down, you know what I'm saying, make somebody visibly woozy. Like, you can't do that and win a round, and that's what they were doing. They was giving, I know Sergio Moore was like, oh man, I like, but it got to a point to where Oshaki was like, look, I'm about to show this dude that there's levels. Because when you look at it, the same way they award Pitbull rounds when he's just coming forward, Oshaki Foster was the one stepping. There were times when he was on the back foot, but then he started stepping to him, making the fight, and Ray Ford was just coiled up waiting to do the counterpunch. Well, time is going by. He's applying pressure, and when he wants to hit you, he's being more effective than you. So when you go, and then his defense is better because when you go to him, he's missing. So he's winning at least 3 out of the 4 scoring criteria, but the fix was in. That's one of the biggest things that I noticed.
I wanted to just come in and just say this part right there when you was cooking on that. When you look at the first round, they gave the first round to Raymond Ford, right? Oshaki comes out and he pretty much dominates the second and third. But yet, by the end of the 4th, when they asked the score, how do you have it? They had Ray Ford winning all 3 of the first rounds. And I was like, wait a minute, how did you just say 2 minutes ago that you thought during the round, you're like, yeah, Ray Ford, Oshaki seems to, be applying some pressure and, he's looking to dominate this round. And that was a pretty good, solid round for him. Okay, so if it was a good, solid round for him, how did Ray Ford win the round? And they did that in the second and third. And when they went to going into the 5th, that's when I had text you and was like, wait a minute. How do you see this fight going? Because I text you on the premise that they were saying that it was either 4-2 or 4 something in favor of Ray Ford, or 4-0 in favor of Ray Ford. And I was like, I've just not seen Ray Ford winning this fight. How are they scoring this fight? What are you looking at? And then when you text me back that you was like, yeah, I got it 38-38. I was like, okay, I can see that. But there is nothing that tells me that Ray Ford won those other rounds, because those rounds were kind of like swing rounds. And how anybody scored those first 3 rounds, however you saw it, okay, cool. But we all saw what happened after that. And then that little bit of whatever. For me, the clear rounds that he won were during the middle rounds. The initial first rounds, I felt that even though it wasn't a lot, Oshaki was still controlling the real estate. The fight was going where he wanted to be. He was on the front foot and he was applying a jab. He was letting his jab dictate the tone early on in the fight. Foot placement, pressure, and the jab. And then he would steal a good solid punch that Ray Ford may have delivered to him. He'd follow it up with a little pity-pat flurry, whether it was on the gloves, whether it was on the arms. But if it was on the gloves and he had the gloves like muffled up, he's punching the gloves so he can get those sounds. He beat him like a veteran, using all the veteran tricks, and then took the fight out of him, because then you could hear the frustration between his corner. Like, you can't let him outwork you. And that's what he said going into the fifth. So if his corner's telling him you can't let him outwork you, then that means he was outworking him. That's why I was like, how do you guys have this scorecard so uneven to where you're trying to tell me that my eyes are not seeing at least something where somebody can argue a 50-50, or you're seeing you're seeing Foster control all of these rounds, but I'm not seeing Ray Ford controlling these rounds.
Yeah. So after the fourth, because I had it the first round, first round was really questionable. It was really a true fill out round. So it's like I default to the champion. Unless I could definitively say that my guy won, especially when I'm pulling for a guy, I default to the other guy. But I'm like, in this case, this is the champ. You didn't do nothing in that round to the champ. That just defaulted to a Shakur. That was the first one, because Ray, he really didn't do nothing. I gave the second round to Ray. I gave the third round to Shaq. I gave the fourth round to Ray. After that, from the fifth all the way up into the 10th, from the fifth through the ninth, that was Oshak, because Ray was doing the same thing over and over again, and Oshak stepped it up, and he was applying the pressure. He was moving, he was turning them. You know, it was doing a lot, and it wasn't until the 10th round that I gave to Ray, and then Oshaki turned it on in 11th and 12th. So I was looking at it, I was like, I kept telling my baby, I said, I don't care what the fuck they say, because if you think about it, the score, one judge had it 114, which was some bullshit. You know, it was no way that was that. But I had it 117, 111. One dude had it 118, 110. One dude had it 116, 112. And I'm right in the middle. So it's like I was calling it like I'm like right in the middle of the other two guys. We could take that 14, throw that shit out the window. But I was right in the middle of the other two guys with how they had it. So for me, I want to highlight Oshaki's brilliance, and Johnny Allison touched on it. He's like, Oshaki didn't switch one time, and he said something. He said, I was in there playing mind games with him. He said, I never went to Southpaw because I knew he was in there sparring with Shakur. And I said, man, that was brilliant. You know why? Because if they ever do fight, there's not going to be no footage on that. Like, you're going to have to go back to old footage. You know what I'm saying? Maybe when Oshaki wasn't fighting his best and didn't have as much command over what he was doing to his opponent as now. I thought that was kind of brilliant, because I was wondering, when you going to switch? And he was just like, nah, I knew what I was doing. I had him, you know what I'm saying? I was being effective. I'm just, I was just going to pivot out and keep doing. He's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I'm like, that's so genius, because you don't give Shakur, you don't give him nothing to rely on. You only seeing, so only thing. Homework. Yeah, you don't give him no homework to look at. You know what I'm saying? So he gonna think, okay, so if he thinking that, okay, well, shit, I'm gonna come out and fight him, orthodox all night, then shit, you might come out and fight him from South. I thought that was genius. That's why when they were saying, man, Shock is one of the smartest fighters and all, I was like, man, the dude is sharp. And for everybody, with him going up against everybody, him staying cool, him always smiling, him being professional, I thought it was brilliant, man. He didn't crack, he didn't wilt under the pressure and all that. The other thing is, I think I hit everything, but like I say the fix was in, because even when you hear the narratives after the fight, people want to make. I heard somebody else say, man, it came down to experience. We were saying that beforehand, that it was experience. And now, you want to have this hindsight of 2020 moment where you say, oh, yeah, it was the experience. But we knew that before. And this was really, a lot of people had boosted Ray up based on his affiliation with Shakur. And I'm saying this is what's wrong with boxing. This is one of the things that's wrong with boxing. It should not be because you affiliated or you're scared of the backlash and all that. It's people right now. One of the most egregious things I've been hearing. This excuse. Y'all gotta take note of this. They're saying, oh well, at this point, what would fighting Oshaki do for Shakur's career right now? I'm like, so now we bodyguards. So now we getting in the way of fights. Now we're allowing people don't care that Shakur reneged on his word. He got in that ring. Oshaki stuck his hand out to shake his hand and say, all right, well, let's shake on it. He didn't shake his hand. Then he started taking his jewelry off as if he was getting ready to do something. Oshaki was like, man, don't disrespect me right now. Because they would have turned that shit out and it wouldn't have went Shakur's way. Trust me. That shit wouldn't have went that way. Like, Oshaki is really from there. Shakur is a transplant. And you can know you should know that because of how the fans were talking to Shakur when he was walking by himself. When he walked out there, they were ready to jump on his ass. So a lot of that was posturing. A lot of that was like that ghetto bullshit again. Once again, I'm like, man, dude, he whooped your little mans. You said fight my guy. I did what I said I was going to do with all the pressure, with all the media, with everything going like people was thinking that Ray was the champ or acting like he was, and Oshaki didn't do what he has been doing and that he didn't have a performance. Then you had fucking Fulton with that dumbass excuse the night before, talking about the bad weight cut. Then Akin Barak came out with another video talking about how his house got robbed. He got robbed right before. All this bullshit. And Shakur pulled that. And I knew he was gonna renege. I was like, man, he's not gonna commit to doing it. He's not gonna commit to fighting no shock. So I thought that was classless on the part of Shakur. And when he said he got his integrity from Bud, here we go again, where another one of them things where you said this was your word. This was your word. You was gonna do this. You said, all right, we'll fight Ray Ford, and then you know what I'm saying, then blah blah blah, and then you didn't do that, and then you didn't even shake the dude's hand, but yet you got in the ring. I would have kicked his ass out the ring. I was like, well, get the fuck out the ring then, nigga. This ain't your night, this my night. And you getting ready to go to Zuffa?
Talking about, the first thing he says to him is, I made you quit in 4 rounds. You talking about sparring. So that's what his first words. I was looking at it and I'm like, okay, you want to argue sparring with this man, and he, first of all, he G-checked you when he baby-faced you. Now you said you're not going to be able to get past my little man. Basically, the way everybody was talking about the fight between the commentators before the fight and after the fight, it was like, okay, is any one of you dudes who's commentating gonna have the balls to say, well, you know, growing up in my neighborhood, this is what we call, you know, finding someone to fight your battles for you. It's just that simple if you can admit that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, the outcome turned out the way it was supposed to be. You basically convinced this little minion of yours to think they on the level to come after me when I'm trying to get at you. And that's one of the brilliant things that I've seen from him, because he beat him in a way that says, okay, if y'all want to talk about the sweet science, this is how you dominate someone. I didn't give him any homework. I didn't give him any cliff notes. I beat him on the style that he's already used to fighting guys during that style. But guess what? I have the ability to switch up, which now you're still at the same place. So now you got to maybe figure out somebody else to want to fight me that'll force me to go into a southpaw stance. So when they was arguing, right, and he was like, so look, I'll see you at 35 or 40. Let's just fight. And he was like, look, I'll do X, Y, and Z. And he was like, so let's just lock it in. And he went to go shake his hand like, bet, we gonna do it. So let's just lock it in. We'll figure out the weight class after the fact. We lock it in. Shakur lost his shit when O'Shaki did that because the optics of it. I'm not going to shake your hand. Well, nobody in any court of law would say that wasn't a gentleman's agreement. If you want to be the man and stand on integrity, the dude wanting to shake your hand to lock it in, you feel what I'm saying? That's how you do it. We don't know what you got coming up next, Shakur. Because you're talking about going down to 35, you're talking about 47, you're not really saying nothing about 40, but you're talking about everything either above 140 or below 140. You said out of your own mouth, you scrap with dude if dude did this, y'all had the Twitter beef. And then you pawned that whole thing off on Ray Ford, because Ray Ford tried to jump in with a little bit of hearsay. And he was like, man, just shut your little ass up like O'Shaq told him. And then Shakur takes advantage of that and says, well, I bet you can't beat him. That's how this fight happened. For some people who just don't follow boxing like that and just think, Shakur runs boxing. Ray Ford decided to jump up. O'Shaq basically was like, look, I need to stay active, so I'll beat up on your little man for a little bit. As long as you fight me next. And then what he do? You don't even want to shake the man's hand. You calling him a bitch and he pussy and all of this other stuff. And I'm like, how do you say that to a dude face that just baby faced you, homie? He pimped you already. Like, you can't say nothing to that dude, bro. Like, seriously, Shakur. And standing there, dude trying to pass off your little bit of jewelry like you're about to swing and pop off, man. Like, listen, that's not what you wanted to do. Not coming from New Jersey and you over there in Texas like that. And that building was hot for O'Shaq.
And look, you not. The thing is, he's not even that kind of. This difference if somebody like, let's just say somebody like Brian Norman did that, Tank, somebody like that's known to like beat shit down people's leg. You're a finesser. You're a fencer. So for you to be acting like you're gonna take your jewelry off, because I don't like in a street fight, we could see how. Look at how whenever O'Shaki grabbed Ray Ford. I'm like, I was telling my lady, I said, yeah, in the street fight, he would do this nigga in real bad. Like the way he was grabbing him, he understand leverage and how, you know what I'm saying? Like he would do. So Shakur, that was a bunch of posturing. And that's why I say I don't like these dudes because of that publicity. Like, why you gonna call that man a B? Why you gonna even get in the ring knowing you ain't gonna want to fight him? You just getting in the ring to do what? To flex?
Yeah, but the thing is though, nobody's buying it though. Shakur is actually not getting the benefit of the doubt on that one. They're like,
the media pushing it though.
And I would say like the paid media. Those who are on the take, they're the ones who pushing it. But outside of that, but let me just say it like this. We know that blue dude, right? He was getting cooked to the point he couldn't even say nothing. And a couple of other dudes who are heavy Shakurians like him, they couldn't say nothing because people were like, bro, so let me ask you this question. If Shaq go up to 140, you just saw how big Shakur looked. Shakur looked like he damn near 154 pounds, maybe 160 pounds. Nobody could, and I was just sitting there like, every dude that pulled up was like, yo, your man can't talk about he a natural 135 pounder no more.
Exactly.
Look how big he was to Shaq,
exactly.
Bro. He can't, nobody buying that no more. Nobody buying Shakur Stevenson small. Nah, that nigga big as hell. And that's what they were saying. So they was asking, oh boy, and the other Shakurian that was on the panel was like, listen, does O'Shaq have the right, if the fight is at 140, does O'Shaq have the right to ask for a rehydration clause? Because Shakur was only going up 7 pounds and he was asking for a rehydration clause. So is it fair for Shaq to ask for a rehydration clause against Shakur? them niggas couldn't say nothing. They was like, well, if he gonna ask for it, he just gonna ask for it. That's on him. I can't speak for him. And them dudes, I was just sitting back like, okay, so obviously I just came across this channel a couple of days ago, and you've been rocking over here because they know you. They see the same thing that we saw when you was rocking when you was rocking with us, that you're a heavy Shakurian. You make the excuses. They was getting at him and saying, listen, but you made the excuses of when he was saying he should have a rehydration clause against Conor Benn and Devin Haney. You was okay with that. So we asking you, should Shaq ask for it, being that Shaq moving up 10 pounds? And yo, I was just sitting there like, whoa. And then some other channels that I was just looking at, and people who are up late at night, I would click onto it and just listen to what they talking about it at, to see if they talking about this stuff. And overall, the general consensus is Shakur can't talk about he a small dude no more. That dude looked massive standing next to him.
But AC, but how long I've been saying that? I've been putting out videos, and every time we get on this, he said for 2 years, it had been 2 years, he was saying he was bigger than T.O. I was like, but T.O. had been moved to 140. What are you waiting for? No, you want the benefit of saying, yeah, I'll go up there and do this. And ultimately you did it because you picked T.O. and you did what you did, and T.O. did what he did. But I have been saying, I was like, man, the dude already said he was too. That's just like when Devin said Loma was too small and too old. That was like 2 years before they fought.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't do that. And then there is no demand for any smoke at 140 for Shakur right now. Ain't nobody putting no pressure. I'm like the only one that be bringing up saying, hey, Shakur, Gary Antoine right there, because the pressure was on Hitchens when as soon as he won, they was like, you got to fight Gary Antoine. Ain't nobody, paid media, content creators, ain't nobody coming out doing no video talking about how Shakur got to fight Gary Antoine.
Oh, they talking about either Shakur going up to possibly face Devin, if that's the case, or him fighting O'Shaquie. Right now,
they doing that Devin. You know what they doing that like, Devin?
Even Tim Bradley, I saw his follow-up video that night. He dropped that video like maybe one something in the morning. And he was like, yeah, I can't let this go by. Yeah, I don't want to see no O'Shaquie Foster versus Navarrete. Navarrete is a great fighter, but don't nobody want to see it. The biggest fight in boxing right now. If Shakur keeps his word and holds his word, stay true to the game, listen, it's you versus O'Shaquie Foster. That fight gotta happen. And if O'Shaquie is gonna go out there and chase somebody, and that's the part where he threw his little Tim Bradley spinning. If O'Shaquie gonna go ahead and do something, then O'Shaquie got to chase that fight. I had to write up under the video like, listen, Tim, you already did that. You forgot about the whole WBC situation where he was gonna help that man get his belt back. So it's not up to that anymore. It's up to the Shakur fans to keep their foot on his neck, on Shakur's neck, to be like, yo, Core, bruh. You can't let that little nigga, like, bro, look how little that dude is to you, man. You can't let that little nigga come up and, play you like that.
But this the thing that I'm seeing. The reason why they keep saying that Devin Haney thing is because they already got a built-in excuse. See, it goes back to what you were saying about I'm not gonna bring up this boxer, but how they get to attach themselves to the names or whatever, and then when they move up or whatever, they're gonna get a mulligan, or they're gonna get whatever excuse because they was daring to be great, they was doing blah blah blah. So it'll be perceived that Foster, if he were to jump up there, he'd be daring to be great. But Foster, the reason why he want to do it, because I believe he's standing, because it's nothing that, like, this man was in jail for attempted murder. Like, he's the real one. Like, he's really got a record where he's on there for attempt murder. So, and he got off. He got a second leash on life. He turned his life around. He's a real guy. He's integrity. He has integrity. He never got out of character. He walked in all these different lion dens, Gillian Wallow, Cam and Mace. He's always been the same guy. He's been respectful. He say his stuff or whatever, and people say, "Oh, this cocky." He wasn't even that cocky. He was confident in his abilities. But see, it's something about how he's standing and moving, saying that he knows something from the experience. right? And it's funny how people say, "Oh man, don't nobody want to fight Shakur," but you got a guy that's clearly wanting to do it, doing everything that they say, even for the Minion, and beat him, and everybody's letting him off the hook. But if he would have attached himself to Devin Haney and he go up there, it was like, well, he already was a 4-weight champion. If you go up again, then that'd be 5, and he was just daring to be great. It's already an excuse, so that's why they're open to that. They already got their excuse. It's the same way we called it, like AC. We called it straight down the middle, saying, man, O'Shaquie gonna have to knock out Ray Ford in order for Shakur not to wiggle out of it. And we said he wasn't gonna fight him. I'm like, nah, they're gonna say that he didn't look good enough and it wasn't that good. It was too close and all that. And this is what they saying. And exactly, they always move the goalpost.
Exactly, and that's the crazy part, because that's why I was texting you like, yo, the fix is in, because they're already downplaying O'Shaq's performance. You feel what I'm saying? They're already downplaying his performance, like, yeah, I don't think this performance is good enough to get the Shakur fight or get the attention of Shakur. Well, it didn't have to be. He said, if you just beat him. Shakur says out of his own mouth, it doesn't matter long as I win. Don't matter how I beat you, long as I win. So it shouldn't matter how O'Shaquie beat Ray Ford, long as he won. Did he win the fight? Yes. Did he look impressive doing it? Yes. So Shakur, that's the impressive part, is just the icing on the cake. Did he just win? Yes. You have to honor your word right now. And you didn't want to honor your word.
This the other thing. Shakur is on film talking about, man, that 114 is crazy. I'm like, I mean, he said that 118, he said that 110 was crazy. But but the 114 wasn't crazy. But the other guy who was more reasonable saying 116, 112, that was more like the story. So you toss out that 114, he dominated the dude. I mean, it wasn't like a total just blowout, like it was competitive to where like Ray was never like really out of it. He still had you on the edge of the seat thinking, okay, well, he's gonna let his hand go. But that's another thing I said. Ray don't let his hands go enough. It's like you can do it, but you scared something happened, you got cracked. I don't know what happened, but you just stopped letting. That's why I got off. I'm like, I don't like these safety first. These guys just gonna stand there and pose and take pictures. It's like, no, I like motherfuckers going in there trying to do damage. And that's just the biasness of it. And everybody, so you got people like Sean Zattel and them. I heard his little take. I heard Tim Bradley or whatever. I wasn't even gonna bring him up because we do the same thing. I heard the whole I still got Shakur. It's not about who you got. It's about applying the pressure now. Don't do the blind allegiance or pledge allegiance. Well, it's not about who you got. Like, you can wait until the fight get made and then do all the videos you want about who you got. It's about putting the pressure on Shakur, saying, no, be a man of your word and fight this dude now. He shouldn't have to go, he shouldn't have to go milk 3 cows and uncurl, 6 pig tails and, you know what I'm saying, you shouldn't have to do that, man.
Yeah.
To get a fight now.
And that's the problem with what's going on in media, where the first problem was accepting this friendship thing. Well, if Keyshawn and Shakur say they're friends, then, like, we can't really push that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because we keep seeing examples of guys, they may not seem friends or they may be enemies or something like that. In the case of Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder, like early on in their career when Deontay had the belt and, he was the guy as far as American boxing, and they were trying to pawn off these Chisora fights and all of these other fights on him for a couple of $1 million and stuff like that, flat fees. Chisora and Dillian White had the craziest thing to say about Deontay Wilder. But after they fought, they both were like, nah, man, we're going to get together with the family. We're going to have some barbecues. This whole thing just brought us completely close together. He a warrior just like me. And that's the part we miss in boxing, especially with the guys who are 27 or whatever, or 28 and under, or 30 and under. You feel what I'm saying? It's just the mere fact of making a fight. What's old boy's name? I forgot the Asian dude's name from the Matrix. The guy who's the bodyguard for for the Oracle, Chinese dude. What happened when he met Neo? He was like, "I'm sorry to tell you, but the best way to know someone's intention or their heart is to fight him. Hot, hot, hot." And the dudes just start scrapping, and we was like, "Oh, they getting it in. Oh, wow." You feel what I'm saying? And
I could, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say at the end of it, that whole scene was like, yo, and then they just stopped scrapping and was like, "My dude, you could scrap. All blessings to you. We good people now. We solid. And we want Shakur. If you gonna say you that, you gonna say you Neo, then you gotta get it in with the, with the bodyguards to the Oracle. You got to get it in with the Mr. Smiths and all of those dudes to let us know, like, yo, you really him.
I'm sorry to tell y'all, man. It's just he's just been showing you over and over again that he's not who everybody's portraying him to be. I remember seeing video of Jamel Charlo. I remember seeing Jamel Charlo and Errol Spence standing together. They was outside. And Jamel was like saying, "Man, you already know." And then and Errol Spence looked over. He had that look. He said, "Man, you already know how I be doing you." You know what I'm saying? Like Earl never. And they was stable mates. They was friends. They was all of that. Like that's before all of this stuff here recently. And they was sharing Derrick James, but Earl was still like, "Hey, I'll get in there." Like that's just it's just certain fighters that just cut from certain cloth. But this is the thing. This is the one last thing I want to say, man, before I land, where I'm at with this whole thing. Just think about this, y'all. Just think about this. O'Shaquie Foster is the one pursuing one of the guys, raising his hand, saying, "I want the smoke. I want to show and prove. I didn't grow up with these guys, so they're not my friends. I want to fight them all. I want to fight this one. I want to fight that one. I want to fight that one." He's the one getting shitted on. Just think about where we're at right now. And this is why I be saying, man, I don't really know. Boxing fans are turning into bodyguards now. But he's the one pursuing the guy. He's the one willing to accept and do and jump through the hoops and do this. And you want me to fight that guy? I just fought this guy. All right, just give me my opportunity. They are shitting on him and still saying that he's clout chasing. This is where we at in boxing now. But this guy, not only because I'm past the Keyshawn shit, I don't even want to see Shakur and Keyshawn no more. I did. At first, I was outraged, and I sat back and thought about it. I said, man, all they're going to do is take our money. Ain't going to be no aggression. They're not going to try to go in there and really beat each other up. Like, they're not. So I don't even want to see it. So we gave him a mulligan on that. We was never going to see him with Richards and Hitchens when he moved up to 40 and Richards and Hitchens had a belt. He never called out Gary Antoine. Yeah, he fought T.O., but we didn't ask for that. People wanted Keyshawn and T.O. because they the ones that had the beef. He didn't fight Jermaine Ortiz, and Jermaine Ortiz had a signed contract. He didn't fight Navarrete. Navarrete had a signed contract with Shakur name on it. Tim Bradley exposed that. He didn't fight Mr. Gary Russell when he was in the same division as him. He didn't fight Devin. Because they had this pact where they was always going to stay one weight class apart until they absolutely necessarily had to fight. Then he do that sanctioning body stuff and all that, use that, and then turn around and shit on the sanctioning body after he used them to leverage off getting a belt. That's why Devin moved up in Fort Regis. Like there are so many things and there are so many people to where there's always this caveat as to why he won't fight. We couldn't get a De Los Santos rematch. Why I gotta do that? Because I did that with one hand. You gotta do that because y'all set a record for the lowest punches. Fight him again. He don't gotta fight him. He don't gotta fight this guy. He don't gotta fight that guy. He don't gotta fight this guy. And it's the fans, not just the paid media. I'm starting to say fuck paid media. I'll shit on them all day, every day if I need to. I'm starting to say fuck them. But now it's then seeped into the fans, to where the fans are making excuses, saying that the blue collar guy, the guy that's working it up, getting it out the mud, doing everything he needs to do, and saying everything and moving the way he needs to, and he's the one still getting shitted on. This is boxing today. So I just wanted y'all to put this in your rucksack and carry this on to your next boxing conversation as to what's going on in boxing. Don't just be a minion. Don't just abandon your critical thinking skills. Sit down and say, hold on, man, is this guy really moving the way a guy who's supposed to be one of them ones where you could pick, choose, and refuse, and the same things y'all used to crucify Tank for, a catch weight or whatever, if it was a rehydration. Now people are making up shit like Floyd saying it ain't gonna be. Why are you even bringing up a rehydration if he fighting you at 35? Why would you even say, well, if he want me to, I don't care if I come in? Why would that even be so you're pinning something on him that ain't even relevant, and y'all would crucify Tank for that. And when Tank was in the position that this fake position that Shakur in, because this only in Tank's absence, but he only wanted he wanted everything that came along with being in Tank's spot. He didn't want the pressure and the same rules and the standards that was being applied to Tank. But he get to move any kind of way he want. He get to pick, choose, and refuse. Now he going over to Zuffa to fight who? And everybody's just singing his praises. For what? You ain't even beat shit down nobody's leg. And when we look at your resume, you fought Artem after Frank already beat him. You fought Padley, who was up on a roof earlier the week when he fought you. You fought Zepeda, who just went through the ring and he got beat by Tevin Farmer. You almost got dropped by Zepeda. And then you fight Tio. He ain't let his hands go. But you one of them ones. Knock it off. Knock it off, man.
And that's
Knock it off.
And that's where, like, I can be honest with you, bro. Within the last 3 days, I had so much fun cooking them Shakurians. But they will not admit it. And just people who are the consummate Tank hating fans. Like, I was like, look, I'm not going to get into certain arguments with you because there's a certain way the law works. And I think the way you guys are talking, you ain't never come across the law. You have never been profiled. You just haven't gone through stuff, but you're all definitive here. And I think that's, and I was just letting them know, listen, when it comes down to that, man, I don't speak on those situations like that unless it's showing me something that's egregious within the scope of the law. Now, I'm not from where he's at, so the law may be a bit different than the way New York works, but I do know this about probation. So when it came down to those type of things and stuff like that, I was just cooking them dudes, and they like, yo, well, how you this, and that, and how you, and the dude that ain't never did nothing, and he's just this, and that, and this, and that. And I'm just like, okay, so how do you consider Ryan Garcia these days? And they're like, nah, Ryan is nice these days. I said, who did Ryan lose to? He lost to Rolly. I said, who else? And then there's this awkward pause, like, you don't want to say Tank. I said, yeah, I know, I'll say it for you, Tank. Tank is the first person to beat him. Then he lost to Rolly. Then he becomes the champion. You feel what I'm saying? So what are you telling me? Same thing with Barrios, same thing with many other fighters. I said, unfortunately, the young dude brings something to the sport of boxing. What's happening outside of the sport of boxing and life just be lifing sometimes. Yeah, but the dude listen, I got over 20 of them joints because I was in a custody battle with my son's mother. There were times I wasn't even in this country and they was looking for me because they said I just was someplace. And I'm like, I'm not even in the country. What are you talking about? So at the end of the day, the arrest don't mean it's a conviction. So get out of that. So outside of that, it's like, look, you want to have all of this hate for the dude because at the end of the day, they're trying to manufacture the fact that Shakur is supposed to take his spot within the ethos of boxing and the media. Shakur is now the man. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more clean cut. He does have a tiny bit of, people behind him that really, really matter. Well, all Tank had behind him was Leonard Ellerbe and Floyd Mayweather. Now you got Bud, you got Andre Ward, You feel what I'm saying? Occasionally, Floyd comes in just to give a little bit of support, but he ain't heavy on it like them. Got the mouthpiece Clarissa Shields. You got all of these people coming to his aid. Tank did it just by showing up and showing out in the ring. Nobody says a Tank fight is boring. So the dudes was like, "Oh yeah, you a Tank maniac. You Tank this and you Tank that." I said, why is it that if a person disagrees with Shakur Stevenson or even Devin Haney on the move that they make, why is it all of a sudden, oh, this guy's a Tank fan? Like you're saying it as it's something derogatory. And I said, if you guys going to be the same dudes to talk about black on black and who's running this in boxing, then Tank is the only one that's fully embracing and supporting Black American boxing. But y'all don't want to give him the support on that of doing everything you said you want a fighter to do. Just like when Brian Norman does everything, or any fighter does what the majority of the fans and the casual fans say, if that thing should happen, you're moving that way. Oh yeah. He moving the right way. He moving the right way until he gets ready to fight the guy that you like the most.
Yep.
Then when he getting ready to fight the guy you like the most, then it's, oh, what he done? He ain't did nothing to nobody. What is his pay-per-view numbers? And how much money did he spend buying gas last week? And you just sitting there like, what the hell does that have to do with just making the fight? Everything. It's the business of boxing. See that? Tell me you don't know nothing about boxing. You just a goddamn casual because you don't know how much Shakur spent on gas last week. And I'm like, whoa, okay, so if that's a matrix, yeah, I don't know how much that dude spent on gas last week because that's irrelevant. And if that's the excuse, then your boy's a fucking duck. Oh my God, listen to these Tank fans. Now everybody ducking. So here's the thing. Y'all gotta stop with all of this duck talk. Whenever it comes down to Shakur is ducking somebody. Shakur is ducking Tank. Shakur is ducking, Shaq Foster. That is just crazy. Okay, so how many people did Shakur just call and say, I want to fight you on social media, where he was just basically just talking, yeah, I want this fight. And then all of you Shakurian fans said, yeah, he called him out and he ducked. He put it out there. I seen the video where they was talking and Shakur said, I want to fight you, and you didn't want to fight him, so he ducked. And then there was a list that you guys were running around with that had up to 16 fighters. Mm-hmm. If Shakur just passed him in a hallway and said, what up? Oh, he ducked. He just ducked. He just ducked him because he didn't say what up back. You see that nod right there? He didn't give it back, so he ducked. He don't want that smoke.
You know what's so funny, man? I've been seeing with Schofield now that they ordered the fight. And people coming out saying, man, the Tank fight Schofield is, man, it's some bullshit and this and this and that. I'm like, well, they do not want to come to terms that Tank and his team and them had reached out to Shakur, and Shakur and them said no, they want a multi-fight deal, and then they turn around and say that Tank was ducking. But this is the Frank Martin shit all over again. It was good when Shakur was getting ready to fight Frank Martin. When Frank Martin was like, nah, I want a little extra, and I called Frank a duck. I said, nope, by definition, that's a duck, bro. Your people signed up for it. And you heard, I guess Shakur got to run his mouth talking about how much money he was getting. And Frank was like, oh, you getting that? Well, give me a little extra, And when he didn't do it, he walked away. I was like, yeah, Frank, that's a duck because you agreed. And then when Tank was getting ready to fight, he getting ready to fight him. He's just a prospect. But it was all good when Shakur was getting ready to fight him. It was all good when Schofield was getting ready to fight Shakur. I was saying that's going to have playback value. But now that it's mandatory and Tank been out the ring, oh man, he don't need to fight no Schofield, man. If he do that, man, that man's ducking. I'm like, bro. And this is the other thing. Shakur, in the ring, he would not shake Oshaki's hand and shake on that fight. That nigga ran right to Twitter's. He ran right to Twitterson, to his Twitterson handle, and was like, I'll make the fight. Just tell him answer the phone when and blah blah blah. Right on being a Twitterson. I was like, man, you can't make this shit up, bro. Like, y'all, if you like that eggplant over there, you know what I'm saying, coming from that New Jersey Devil in Shakur, just say you like eggplant. We in 2026. A lot of grown men openly confess that they love eggplant. Like, they do some crazy things for some eggplant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If that's you, just say you like eggplant. Like, it's just like these DL rappers or whatever. Like, why are you a DL rapper when we in 2026 where the whole world acknowledges it? It's almost like every movie, everywhere you go, they put that in there. So you could be you. If you like that New Jersey Devil eggplant, just say I like Shakur's eggplant. And we'll be like, oh, okay, you just like that eggplant. Okay, cool. We know how to identify with you. And then we'll move on.
Just come out and say, you know what? Whenever I do go to Chinatown, I look for Chinese eggplant. So at the end of the day, bro, it's just what it is. And I just found things amazing that immediately after the fight, all the Shakurians were making excuses for Ray Ford. And the excuses that they were coming out with, I was like, wow, you seriously believe that? You seriously believe it? So there is,
I heard conditioning. I heard it was a bad weight cut. I heard, then I heard experience. But Lamar Rose said experience didn't matter. Lamar Rose just said experience didn't matter. Like, because they said, what about the experience? Like, nah, experience don't matter. I said, Lamar, experience don't matter, bro. Now you Hollywood Roach, boy.
Yeah, I mean, what they were saying, it aged extremely well, you know. So I'm just like, yeah, now that he won, and he won in the fashion that he won, you know, things are right in boxing. And regardless of those people who want to look at it and just accept it, they're going to continuously make excuses. I would gather by maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, we're going to start to hear some of the most egregious excuses of why, number one, Shakur shouldn't take the fight. Number two, it doesn't make any sense for Shakur to fight O'Shaquie. Number three, it might be, you know, Shakur looking to fight O'Shaquie at this point is going backwards because Shakur's already a pound for pound fighter and yada, yada, yada. But hold on. Didn't Tim Bradley, one of the biggest mouthpiece for Shakur Stevenson, just say that performance that O'Shaquie put on back-to-back with Ray Ford and Stephen Fulton were pound-for-pound performances? Yes, no, maybe so. So at the end of the day, you got a Hall of Fame legend already putting it out there, and he put it out there legitimately. Not O'Shaquie running around saying, listen, after I beat Oscar Valdez, I want y'all to tell me I'm pound for pound now. That's what Shakur said going into the Oscar Valdez fight. He said, you know what? Me beating Oscar Valdez is like me beating Canelo and all of those other Latin fighters that came to Oscar Valdez's aid to prepare him for me. See, I told y'all he wasn't on my level and all that advice y'all gave him, yada, yada, yada. Now, what if O'Shaquie came out and did that same thing? O'Shaquie was a lot more grown with it because we saw the videos. We saw everything. We seen on the sideline Shakur like, no, got his hands up and doing like a little pendulum, whatever, trying to signal to him. Remember that thing we worked on? Do that right now. So we seen him trying to coach his little protege. And then when he beat him, if we take Shakur's same energy and his same words after he beat Oscar Valdez, then the same thing should apply. O'Shaquie just beat you. He beat Richardson Hitchens. He beat all of those guys, Zaquan and all of y'all that came to his aid to prepare him to fight O'Shaquie. So let's just keep the same energy. All of that other weird stuff, that doesn't do anything. It doesn't make people, you know, be a fan of Ray Ford. Honestly, the way Ray Ford fought last night, there were some areas that I'm like, I still rock with Ray. I still deal with the young man. I'm in the camp of other people that saying, listen, bro, you just lost to a much, much better fighter. Take it as a lesson and move forward from that. You still can do great things in boxing. But just don't put yourself in a position to fight anybody else's battles. Run your own goddamn race, and the lesson is learned right here. You got more than one lesson to look at. You got more than one thing to start to question right now. If Shakur, you my mans, you feel what I'm saying? I did this for you and I lost. Then that means you got to go out here and fight this dude, bro. Just for me. If you my mans and you put it out there like that, please, let's not make the crew look bad.
Good point.
Go handle your business, man.
Good point. Good point. I'm gonna say this. I rock with Ray too. I took the stance because I didn't like the ghetto shit, you know what I'm saying, that we tend to do when we get on the big stage. I don't like it, you know what I'm saying? I don't like some of the shit we say and do, but that's just me, you know, in a way. I like the way Oshaki carried everything. He was the consummate professional. But I'll say this with Ray. Ray was in my boxes to watch. This background, this Cobra background, that Cobra, let me see, I'm gonna put it up for I'm gonna flash it just so y'all see it. This was actually Ray's, this background right here, that was the background I did for Ray, because I was calling him the Cobra. I was calling him the Cobra, basically like the Cobra Commander. That's the background that I had for Ray. But I'll say this. If anybody hear this or if Ray hear this, the issue with Ray is you're not one of them guys that you're going to get the benefit of the doubt of Shakur, or you're just standing and posing and picking and popping. You're not going to get the treatment like the Devin Haney or the Shakur, who has that fencing type style where it's like they really want to outpunch you if they could just touch you more. No, your weapons is, and even Oshaki, I give him credit for this. He said there's an offensive things that he do that's actually better than Shakur. So I'm not looking at him like he's a mini Shakur. That's why when they was making that like, oh, he's just like the mini Shakur, I'm like, he's not the mini Shakur. Like, Ray got hands. He just don't let his hands go. Ray, you're not going to be winning these fights if you think you can pose and you can fence. You're not going to get it, bro. One, you're a little shorter, I think you're a little shorter. But you got power and you got speed and you got, and when you work on your timing, you got good timing. But you're not gonna sit up. You're gonna be sitting here watching these fights just go by the wayside, round after round, doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not gonna result in you getting a win. If Ray were to just let his hands go, if he would just let it, not get reckless, but just let your hands go. Ray was telling you, all right, go ahead and run your numbers. All right, let's start running our numbers. Let your hands go. But he stood there and posed and was waiting, trying to counter. Somebody that knows, like the excellent ones, the ones that have any kind of boxing IQ, know that, oh, you just trying to counter me. So they're not going to let you do that. You might get away with it every now and again because you're going to time it, you know what I'm saying, every now and again. But Ray, you are not the kind of fighter that's going to win on your defensive prowess. It's the same thing I said when Jamel went in there with Canelo. You're not going to be in there slipping, dipping, and rolling, and they're going to give you a decision against Canelo. No, you have to take judgment into your own hands. You have to throw your overhand rights. You got to throw your uppercuts. You got to pivot out and catch them. You know, the offense is going to be your best thing. You are an offensive fighter. Tank know that. Tank know that. That's one of the biggest things, because he gonna go get you. If he need to, he gonna go get you. You gonna commit. He gonna let his hands go. It was like the Lamont Roach that fight was like, in my book, it was like an anomaly. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what was going on with him or whatever. You know, I don't know if it was the history between him, Roach, the familiarity. I don't know what it was, but we know damn near 93.33% of the time he knocking your ass out. How's he doing that? That's not by slipping, dipping, and rolling. No, that's by letting his fucking hands go, Ray. And that's what I said about Ray. I like Ray. I still fuck with Ray. I don't like that ghetto shit, but I still fuck with Ray. And the only way that Ray is going to really be winning these fights, like Shushu, is if you let your hands go. So that's really what it is, man. That's all I really got, AC. But I think, man, great points, man. Great points, man. What you got? How you want to land, if you got anything else?
Man, I'm just gonna land like this, man. Listen, Ray Ford, if this should get to you somewhere, or somebody else that has a bigger channel hears it, man, hold your head high, bro. At the end of the day, most of the boxing fans had the solid idea that you weren't going to win the fight, but we applaud you for stepping up to that level. Whether you realize it or not, that's one of the longest reigning champs at 130. That dude pretty much had his belt for the last 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Lost it on some BS and then got it right back. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, now you know what it feels like to face a real champion, someone who fights like a champion, composes himself like a champion, and everything else. When you go home and when you get back in the gym and you looking at the crew, as you just wrapping your hands up, don't be conspicuous, but just take a 360 and read the room. And the room will tell you these dudes is not who you think they are. Just because y'all from the same hood don't make you good. So if you could kind of like understand that, speaking from like a OG standpoint, trying to put the young man on, like, listen, little bro, you don't got to be dealing with those dudes because he dealt with you like a champion. Look at your mans over there, the dude that's supposed to be the leader of your crew, and then look at the guy he looks up to. Between those two, which one of them is acting more like a champion than that dude just did with dealing with you? And if you could lean back to say, yeah, the guy who just beat me in every way showed more championship qualities than both of these dudes put together, then on some real shit, you know what? I'm gonna run my own race here. I'm good with the click. I ain't trying to start no beef with y'all, but I'm done with this. I'm off this like this because now it's affecting my career. Everybody likes you, right? They like what you bring to the table. You're a personable dude. We were just laughing at the fact that you really thought something. And this was an F around and found out situation, but it's a bigger lesson. So don't take it as the F around and found out. That's just the after effect. The thing you need to be focused on is who the people are around you and their decisions, because they're trying to maneuver their way, how it just affected you. Because you thought that everybody was down for you. And then at the end of the day, everyone told you, even he told you, they could do whatever, young blood, but they can't fight your battles for you. They can't be in the ring and fight for you. And your big bro just did that to you. He put you in the ring to fight that battle for him. And then he just dipped out on it. Said, you can't beat my mans. That's not going, and it's not going to happen. You say, I want to fight because you're not getting to the homie because you got to get through me. Then he got through you. And then big homie just says, you know what? F that nigga. I ain't on that time right now. Bro. Bro, who you rocking with? That's one of those things that, whose mans is this? So, right. Wake up, bro. Wake up. That's all. Wake up. I hope you woke right now. Wake up. Wake up. And that's where I land that plane, bro.
Great takes as always, AC. You had me laughing, man. Hope you have a good week, man. A wonderful week. And we'll be back, in a little bit, man, to do another one.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
All right, man. Enjoy your evening.
You too, man.
All right. Well, we had another good one in the books, y'all. Of course, we had to come and we had to come and book in this whole saga between, Oshaki and the Brat Pack. Hopefully Ray do learn from this, because you gotta think about it, man. You was sent out there as a scouting report. You got used, man. I mean, Shakur wanted to see how he was going to look against you and how he was going to react to all the things that, you were going to be doing in the style or whatever. And congratulations. You played yourself. You know, all that ghetto stuff, talking about that man, how he wasn't paying his coaches and how it's like, you know, you gave him an outing and now, you know, his people saying, look, man, we might be able to sell out the Toyota Center now. Because it added to Oshaki's cachet. And this is what I be trying to say, man. Yeah, we got emotions. Yeah, we get a little worked up. Yeah, we get a little bit angry, especially as a boxer and you know, getting hit in your head for a living. We understand that. You put in blood, sweat, and tears. But all that extra stuff, all that this and all that, then even after the fact, I know he really didn't learn his lesson because even after the fact, he was like, F that ninja and all this. It's like, all right, well, it just shows you saw a loser, man. And it just, when people look back at it and they go back and they watch the interviews and all that, it's just going to add to all of it. Like just the same way they do Tank when they be like, look at the before and after. Look at how the boxer was talking before and after and all that. It's going to age well. Why? Because O'Shaquie ain't got nothing on film where you could say he was classless. He did anything without taste. He wasn't gracious. He didn't conduct himself as a champion. You gonna be looking like the fool. At the end of the day, he slid you out of the ropes. Maybe because of his character. If he was all emotional, aggressive, maybe they would have dinged him for that. But he didn't come across like that. They didn't think that was malicious. He get the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because he always conducted himself with class as a champ. We need more of that in boxing. And I'll say this because I've been, I didn't really troll a lot of people, but I have been commenting under some people. And I've been waiting to see all these people who had all these predictions and saying all these things or whatever. I've been waiting to see if they was going to eat crow and not make excuses. But they're doing the same thing for Stephen Fortune now and all these excuses and, you know, all these things. It's like it doesn't age well. And when you make excuses, guess what happened? You're not going to want nobody else is really going to want to fight you. Because they're going to say, I'm not going to get my credit, especially if it's not like a blockbuster payday or nothing like that. I'm not going to get no credit anyway because all you and your minions and all the powers that be just going to come up and make excuses. So why should I even give you an opportunity? If all you're going to do is turn around and say, oh, man, it was my conditioning, and oh, man, it was this, it was all. No, take it on the chin, learn from it, bounce back, and run your own race. Shakur used you as a test dummy. He wanted to see how O'Shaquie was going to react, and guess what? O'Shaquie was smarter than all y'all because he outclassed you in every interview. He outclassed you in every sit-down, every press conference, you know, everything. He just outclassed you all the way around, and guess what? He ain't even show y'all, you know, anything other than the orthodox. So you don't even know how he gonna come right now at this day and age because there ain't gonna be no more sparring. As far as how he gonna come with the southpaw, so it's like he kind of like just stunted on y'all, man, all the way around. And he was a class act. He was a professional. He conducted himself like a champ. He said, "Man, I'm having fun." He smiled. And you gonna be looking all salty and looking all stupid and crazy. You didn't win. Your team didn't win. Y'all recruiting Lamar Roach now. I don't know, man. We had the book in this, man. We already knew he was gonna take Lil Ray to school. It was a little bit too early. And it's a damn shame that Shakur get the benefit of the doubt and all these people, they want to be in his good graces so much. I'm like, I don't know how he's gonna contribute into your check at all, because I mean, I don't know what he's gonna do for you, but this is what I was trying to say. Stop letting politics kill boxing, man. All we gotta do is say what our eyes see and just report on it straight up and down. You don't gotta make nothing up or create nothing or draw no narratives and, you know, be a bodyguard for these fighters and make excuses. I'd be damned if I'm making excuses for somebody that's getting paid millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? I'm making excuses for somebody paying millions of dollars, saying, oh, yeah, it was just conditioning. He got paid millions of dollars. Oh, well, yeah, it was just a horrible weight cut. He getting paid millions of dollars fighting your right weight class. I'll be damned, man. But anyways, man, y'all know silence is consent. You know what I'm saying? It's what we stand and what we live by, which means all it takes for evil to prevail for men and women to remain silent. So we speak to the things that need to be spoken to in the sport of boxing. Are we always right? No. But we know how to eat crow when we're wrong. A lot of y'all need to learn how to do that. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you was able to put something in your rucksack and march on with it. I always say this is fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. fact-based content, not opinion-based. I told y'all it was the plus or minus ratio that was going to win. It was like, this not a 50-50. Why? Because O'Shaquie he's nice with that plus minus ratio. You'll be surprised. Your favorite fighter, all that eggplant that y'all like, his plus minus ratio over his last 3-4 fights ain't been the same. This guy O'Shaquie's plus minus ratio was showing that. You can have your opinion on who you want to think and win and all that, but in every other sport, they use stats to, you know, convey their points, and they give credence, and it's not always right, but it tells the story, right? Only in boxing do we say no, and I understand it to a certain extent if you're dealing with somebody that got an eraser that can wipe away all that shit. But in these guys, when you talking about the sweet science where they don't got the eraser to wipe it all away, sometimes you might want to sit down and listen to what other people have to say. That's all I really had, man. Y'all know I could talk this boxing all day and all night, man. I hope everybody who had the privilege of being able to listen to us, man. Salute to all of y'all, man. I thank you, man. Support the channel. We are monetized, right? Like the video, comment on the channel. If you catch this on the playback, talk to me, holler at me. I'll talk back. You can cash app, you can super chat. If you can't do that, you can hype the videos. You know what I'm saying? I engage with everybody. I go back and forth with everybody. You know what I'm saying? We're reasonable. And if you ever decide to get up on the panel, we're not going to mute you or silence you and do all that. You know what I'm saying? If you get out of pocket, probably going to make you look and sound dumb. But we're going to keep it pushing, man, because our agenda is just to be, you know, just to have some pure boxing talk, man. It's rare. So that's what we do over here. We don't change, you know what I'm saying? And we try to be consistent. We believe in quality over quantity. So we're not out here each and every day, all day, every day, being the first and being this and having inside sources and all that. Nah, we just gonna get in here and smack you in the head with that real good old boxing talk. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. Well, we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.